All right, race fans, we are back after a huge weekend throughout the area. Of course, it was Wasota 100, legendary 100 this week. So a lot of stuff happened this past week. Actually, some pretty good racing at both tracks. I do got to give hats off there. Pretty entertaining. I watched every race from Fergus Falls, every single race, and the legendary 100. I watched most of the A mains on Saturday, and some pretty good stuff, some exciting stuff. Not so much in a good way for one of my former pit guys. We'll talk about that. But episode number 276. Before we get into that, quick shout out, then we'll get to some intros here. Impact Health Sharing, we always start with that. That time of year, people are looking to change their health insurance plans for 2026. If you're an individual, a couple, family, small business, maybe you have employees, maybe you are an employee, if you pay for health insurance for you, loved ones, employees, whatever it is, I might have a great option for you. Very competitive on pricing. We're looking at $600 roughly for families. Deductibles are, I mean, you're pretty much not going to beat the deductibles. You can go to any provider. Hit me up, 218-969-1380. Text me, Facebook me. I don't care. However you want to get a hold of me. I can get you a quick, no obligation quote, and I can get you the information you need to see if Impact Health Sharing is right for you. So, boys, welcome to the show. So, a lot of craziness. Changa is going to be a very busy boy here. My right-hand man, former track champion at the Proctor Speedway, multi-time national championship crew chief, and now a little bit of a caretaker. He's going to have to take care of Mama there for a little bit. She had knee surgery. Our best wishes, of course, with Teresa. She had some knee surgery here, Bert, I believe yesterday. So she's going to be on the mend for a while. So hopefully a speedy recovery and hopefully not too painful for her. Want to get her back up on her feet. But Changa, how the heck you doing, man?
I'm tired, worn out a little bit. The high limits race just got over.
What was it? Corey Day get that one done?
Corey Day dropped out under yellow. The
Wow.
24 of Rico Abreu bringing her home checker.
That's who I
Represent.
picked. There you go.
I did as well. And it was close at the end there. Pursley was inside him on the last lap, and then looks like Reitzel slid Pursley to get second. So I think it was a good finish there. Rico was kind of going away at the end.
I had him too. All right. 3 for Bert. I got a 3 first. So
How about
Changa,
Jason Pursley though? Maybe been
we're going
running
to
good.
talk about him. We're going to talk a little bit about Rico and a little bit about Jason Pursley in just a little bit here. So you're spot on. Pursley's been really good. And then, of course, former editor of the Full Throttle magazine, a racing publication over in eastern Wisconsin, and race fan extraordinaire, former crew chief expert, tear-off applicator for MJ McBride, right? So maybe not the crew chief, but he was chief in charge of tear-offs and mud scraping. So
Captain of the Pete Parker fan club.
I don't know about all that. I don't know if he's a Pete Parker fan club. I don't think that's a thing. But I will say this. Tear-offs, right? I know there's a lot of people racing now that maybe are like, what is that? So they used to actually put these things on your face shield, and mud, which is dirt that is moisture in it, come up, and you'd have to peel them off so you could see. Obviously, everybody I think knows what tear-offs are, but they're pretty rare nowadays. Let's just say that. Scraping mud, extremely rare, but that's what Bert did. Bert was the man when it came to that. So Bert, how the heck are you?
I'm doing good. 87 degrees here today. Supposed to be down to high of 70 on the weekend. So typical September in Northeast Wisconsin.
Can't complain about that at all. So, and as always, Ryan Aho here, the host, co-host, 3 of us here, the 3 Musketeers, 3 Stooges, whatever you want to call us, right? Depends on the day. But let's start with a little dark news. I mean, I think we got to get it was a rough week. I mean, especially Wednesday was just a horrific day throughout America. And then, of course, at the Wasota 100, and Scott Engfer, Wasota board member and a gentleman that has been very, very much a part of the I-94 Speedway as long as I can remember. I know he used to work for Dick Johannick there, and I know that he worked there with Don Shaw and did track prep, and him and his wife, they wear a lot of hats over at the I-94 Speedway, and tragedy struck. He was hit, on a four-wheeler. Didn't see it. I don't know all the details. I've heard a lot of different things, but needless to say, he was struck by a car on his four-wheeler and unfortunately passed away. So thoughts and prayers to the Ankfer family, the I-94 Speedway family, the Wasota Racing family. I mean, I had the liberty of meeting Scott. I talked to him a handful of times. I can't say I knew him well, but he'd been heavily involved with dirt track racing for a long time. He had been at many, many Wasota meetings that I attended and got on the board this past year, and I was just passionate about dirt track racing, and just a very, very sad deal to see, anybody die in general, but so tragically at a racing event. And, of course, thoughts and prayers to the driver that, that was involved with that incident. That's a tough deal as well. But guys, I'll be honest, it's been a rough, they say everything happens in threes, right? That's kind of what they say. And maybe this is it. Hopefully this is it for a long time. Hopefully this is it for a long time, but it's been a rough year, less than 12 months for the Wasota Racing family. Of course, losing Bill Engelstad, losing Terry Volz, losing Scott Ankfer. Boy, Wasota as an organization, three people that have been heavily involved with Wasota for a long time. So that was a tough deal. And then I'll add one more thing. Of course, Charlie Kirk, right? I mean, Changa, I don't know if you watch a lot of politics stuff or Bert or whatever. I did watch some of his clips online, very well spoken. People may not agree. I did. I loved a lot of his content, but that's irregardless, right? It doesn't matter if you agree or disagree with what he had to say, but the guy was killed because he was voicing his opinion that differed from others. That if that were the case, I better watch my back, because I'm always voicing my opinion, in the racing world. But it's a tragedy when somebody so influential, just his life taken, father, right? 31 years old. So I mean, just a horrible, horrible week last week, and it gives us some perspective, right? Life is extremely short. Do what you love to do with the people you care about. Do it to your fullest, and remember, life is, it's not a dress rehearsal. We don't get a do-over. We're not on our deathbed going, you know what, next time around I'm going to do this. That's just not the way it works, right? That's not the way it works. It gives you some perspective, and life is precious. So your guys' thoughts on just the solemn stuff here that happened this past week?
So, well, Wednesday.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I-94.
go ahead, Changa.
The tragedy at I-94, it happened right away. First heat race of the night, So I missed it. I was still at work or on my way home from work. Well, the next day I went back and watched it back to see if it would show it. And it did show the tail end of it right on the edge of the screen. And I was shocked that they didn't take that out or black it out, because I don't, it was at a great distance, but you could see the car spin out and the four-wheeler tumbling down the track, and I was like, boy, and it's at such a distance. Well, if it was maybe on a big screen TV, you might be able to make it out better, but I was surprised at the fact that they didn't just get that the hell off of there altogether.
Just assume they did. I didn't even
All right.
look for. I didn't even look for it, and like I don't want to look for it. I don't want to see that. I mean, I had somebody send me, a few people send me, hey, did you see this video here? And I'm like, what is it? And I clicked it. It's Charlie Kirk getting shot. I'm like,
Yep.
I don't want to see that. I don't want to see
Yeah,
somebody get shot, right?
I
Much less
watched
see
that too.
somebody. Yeah, it's like So yeah, I'm guessing by now. Hopefully they removed it. I would have to think they probably did. But yeah, that surprises me. I guess I didn't even look for it. I had no interest in looking for it.
Go ahead, Bruce.
Yeah, I mean, the I-94 deal, obviously that's a very sad situation. You never want to see that at a racetrack. And, that's why, like I said, I don't know what happened, but you always have to be careful at a racetrack. I don't care where you are. You have to almost have eyes in the back of your head. You have to be aware of what's going on. So, thoughts and prayers to his family. And the Charlie Kirk deal, I mean, I couldn't believe it when I first heard it. And, you know, I didn't watch this stuff a lot. I would watch the reels on Facebook and stuff, but I probably watched more of his clips over the last week than I have prior to the week. And you know, it's just sad when because everybody says you have to be able to talk to each other. Well, that's what he was trying to do, and then you know somebody ended his life because of it. And it's just obviously thoughts and prayers to his family too. I mean, I can't imagine two little kids, and they're going to grow up without a dad.
Yeah, super unfortunate. And that, I mean, that right there, to go ahead and just kill somebody like that. I mean, you got to have some kind of there's got to be something wrong with you. I mean, I can't even fathom getting inside the head of somebody that takes somebody else's life, right? I mean, that's just, I wouldn't even begin to comprehend that. But the other deal at Fergus, it's just a tragedy. That was an accident. Accidents happen. And Bert, you're spot on. I mean, I've seen a multitude of people, and from what I understand, is he was usually the safest guy on the four-wheeler. There's another guy at I-94 that's kamikaze, like he's wide open all the time, and they're like, I can't believe it was Scott that got hit, not the other guy, because he was, he's always on the chip. And, Hibbing, there's a guy there that's just wide open all the time. And we see it all the time. And it's like, you don't even think about it. You're like, no, you feel like you're invincible. And unfortunately, we're not, and that just life in general. Like I said, I mean, we're here for a very short window of time, and we're all getting a little bit older and a little bit older. And that means that the tape measure is getting a little bit shorter and a little bit shorter. And you know, just treat every day like it's your last, right? I mean, really try to do the most you can with what you have. And I'll be honest, I'm massively guilty of not doing that. There's so much more that I could be doing than what I'm doing right now. And I believe, if we all kind of have some perspective, we're probably all kind of fit into that. And I look at some people, and I'll be honest, like a guy that we ruffle each other's feathers once in a while. I look at James Trantina, right? And we're kind of clashing all the time, but holy shit, that guy's ambitious. I mean, he don't leave no stone unturned. There's a guy right there, like him, dislike him, whatever it may be. That guy's flat out doing shit nonstop. And we may not always get along or whatever it may be, but not a bad example on how to utilize your time to get a lot done. There's obviously other examples. He's just one that came to my mind right there. So again, thoughts and prayers to everybody. Live life to the fullest. Be nice to people the best you can. We're all a little bit too guilty, maybe being critical and whatever, but just life is short, man. Life is short. So let's get into a little racing though. Wasota 100. So Bert, you watched some of it. Changa, you watched almost all of it. I watched every lap. Just give us. We'll start with you, Bert. Give us the good, the bad. Give us. What's a couple things that stuck out. We're gonna get into our studs and duds, so we'll probably talk a little bit more about drivers in that section, each individual class as we go down. But what stuck out to you on a positive? What did you like? What is something you like? Yeah, if I had to nitpick, maybe this is something here. What do you got?
Well, I watched three of the features from the final night of the program. And we talk about crowds a lot, and I thought they had a pretty decent crowd. I mean, that place is huge. I don't know how many people it seats, but the front stretch was, what I would say, probably three-quarters full.
Saturday
Oh,
looked really good. Friday was less.
Yeah, Saturday.
During the week was really light. It was really light during the week, but Saturday they had a really,
But
really good
but
crowd.
that's understandable for it to be
Yeah,
light during the week. I mean,
yeah.
people
Even
work,
Boone.
and you know,
Yeah, even Boone was
right,
light during the week, right?
right.
So yeah,
But I thought Saturday night they had a pretty good crowd. And um the track I have to ask you guys a question now.
Oh boy.
Now, now, granted, they watered the track. They worked it before the street stock feature. So they ran the street stock feature, and then they ran the Midwest mods, and then they. Oh yeah, okay. So the Midwest mods were second, but it had cleaned off fairly well by that time, and Blake Adams said, with how muddy it was, and I'm thinking muddy. It wasn't muddy. I mean, compared to, well, I guess maybe I'm comparing it to the '90s when, I mean, it was muddy. Muddy meant muddy.
The mods had by far the best track of the features. It had widened out, and Blake's a competitor, right? I mean, he's like a kind of a mini Buzzy, right? I mean, if he don't win, he's like, fuck racing. I don't want to look at anybody. I don't want to talk to anybody. The track sucks. Everybody's stupid. I was the same way. I get it, right? I mean, I understand it. I think he was just frustrated. I mean, they probably. I'm thinking if he said it was a little too heavy, too muddy, probably a little bit tight, probably just missed it a little bit, probably should have been freed up, but it wasn't like super racy. I mean, it wasn't, but it was the best of the 5 features, and better than having a skating rink. We whine all the time about glass, right? And it wasn't bad.
Just to clarify, he said this after the Midwest mod feature, not the mod feature.
Oh, okay.
So
after
the
Midwest,
earlier.
You're right, because he wasn't in the mod feature. The Midwest mod feature was heavy, for sure. The street stock feature was really heavy.
Okay. Yeah.
As far as it really pulls down on the Midwest mod feature actually got pretty good. There was, the second half of that race was pretty sporty.
Yeah.
I felt probably worse for the street stock drivers than I did for the Midwest mod guys, because that was a straight out dyno session and half the field was overheating like crazy. But it's one of those deals. I mean, in hindsight, late models can handle that a little bit better, right? Than the 2-barrel stuff. Maybe they could have ran late models. Maybe they should have had maybe they should have did a full farm session and ran like a couple of the B mains right before that. There's a lot of things they could have maybe did. He wasn't wrong. It was pretty heavy in the B mods for sure.
Okay.
But you're right. As compared to the 90s, it's like not even close to the same thing. But these cars now, I mean, you got to remember back in the 90s, every car on the racetrack was flat. And now all these cars got attitude and, whatever. And, again, I mean, when you win races, when you're battling out there and your mindset is like, I'm going to win, like I win. That's what I do. Right. When you don't win, the easy thing to do for all of us is track sucked. So I did all I could do. Track was a piece of shit. And if you win and we're watching it, the track, I mean, we've seen races and I'm like, holy shit, that track is terrible. And what's the winner say? Track was excellent tonight. Hats off to the track prep crew. It's like bullshit, right? So that's just human nature. That's really a reaction in the moment. Mike in his face, 10 seconds after, in his mind, he had a car to beat. He thought he should have contended and he didn't. So he's obviously disappointed, but he's 15, 16. He'll
right.
probably maybe handle that a little bit better as he ages, I would have to think. So what else you got?
I mean, the racing I saw, I thought it was good. I mean, it wasn't spectacular. I mean, you mentioned, the street stocks, there wasn't a lot of passing. The end of the Midwest mod feature, they were getting racy, and the late model feature was pretty good. So, I mean, overall it was good. I mean, nothing spectacular, but it was very good.
Changa, how about you? What stuck out to you? Good, bad, ugly?
5 nights of racing, right? 5 nights of racing. It's really, really hard deal to try to keep a track prepared well enough to have any sort of quality racing when you're running. And they're starting early, 5 o'clock start times. And boy, I thought they did a pretty stand-up job, with the track for as many laps and as many cars were on that thing. So, props to them for the job they did. I think the racing was pretty good.
And let's not forget, right, the person that passed was the main track prep guy. So I believe Don Shaw, and I don't know, he probably had somebody that he grabbed to help. They were probably scrambling. They're probably going, holy shit, right? Like, we got to take care of this. So, yeah, they made it work.
We saw sometimes, and we're all critical. Hey, you move tires in and out on a racetrack, and we saw that a couple times here last week. One time, maybe even the middle of a race, which is probably a no-no. But I think track started taking rubber on, was it the first night of the actual Wasota race would have been the second Challenge Series night. I think they made a decision to move some tires that probably helped the race that night. But all in all, the cream kind of rise to the top most of the races. So that tells me that the racing surface was kind of, pretty decent anyhow.
Yeah, I thought it was good. And I'll talk, when I get to my turn, I'll talk a little bit about the tire deal there, moving them in and out and so on and so forth. But I mean, I've watched a lot of racing at I-94, and some's been great, some's been bad. But I think if you take the whole collective of the whole week, I think that there was definitely a lot more good racing than bad racing. I mean, I remember a couple years back, it was literally bone dry, and you couldn't even, I mean, it was very unraceable for most of the week, and it wasn't like that this year. I think the track was pretty spot on and mostly good racing for sure. Anything stick out on the negative side, or you want me to just jump into kind of my thoughts here?
Yeah, I think that half of the negatives we're probably going to cover later in the show anyway. So.
Yeah. So positive side, I mean, overall the racing was good. I think the crowd was good, the atmosphere was good. Glad to see they got, I don't know who was all involved, the multitude of people, but they had a pretty good number of contingency awards, and did some fun stuff with Kyle Hall and the, what is it behind? I don't remember what the name of it was, but he does his little video clip there. That was pretty good. But a couple things that kind of stuck out, so we're gonna get into the drivers in just a little bit. The best race was the Midwest Mod race on the second to the last prelim night, so it would have been Thursday night. That was good. Trantino won that one, and Bert, I mean, he had to close, kind of like you talked about closing of sprint cars. He had to really elbows up to take the lead in that deal, and that was honestly probably one of the best races of the whole weekend. Wouldn't you agree, Changa?
Oh, absolutely.
That was good. Most of the week it was like the holy shit, this is a deck height 100. It's literally everybody's getting DQ'd. Deck height, deck height, deck height, deck height. How many DQs, Bert, on championship Saturday night between the 5A mains? How many? Now keep in mind, 33 cars. Changa's guessing 0. 33 cars. Now remember, there've been DQs every single night, right? How many in the A mains?
Well, I was going to say 0, but I'll say 1 since Changa said 0.
It was 0. Do you know why it was 0? Do you want to know why it was 0? I texted Pogo, so did J.R. Tardy. I texted him, and my text said this: you be nice. If you're nice, I'll get you another DQ gift card. He responded, right? He said, great, no DQs in the feature. So I have to apologize to all the drivers that did get DQ'd on prelim nights, because my dumbass should have done that at the beginning of the week. Okay. I waited till the end, probably ruined a few people's week. If I would have just texted him on Tuesday, said, look, big week here, Pogo, we'll get you a DQ gift card. Don't fuck with people all week. Probably would have been a good week for everybody. But I'll wait till the A mains, and lo and behold, everybody's probably cheating. They're probably all illegal as hell. Every one of them, a bunch of cheaters out there, right? But he didn't give a shit. Why? Because he's getting himself a blizzard from Dairy Queen. That's why. He did not care.
So how many deck height DQs were there?
Probably 652. There was a bunch. I didn't keep track exactly how many. If I had to guess, a dozen maybe or so, somewhere in that give or take.
Well, I mean, my thought is, I mean, obviously with what's going on, what's happened the last few weeks, the drivers know they're going to be checking for deck height. So it
don't work like that. Deck height don't work like that. There's too many variables. You can in mind, like if it's a street stock, right, you can pretty much assume you're going to go there. There's not a lot of changes. You change a bar angle, more gas on the left. There's so many things that you can
No,
change
but
that the car just automatically is up.
But what I'm getting at is obviously the drivers aren't intentionally having their deck height high because they know it's going to get checked. So there's got to be a different way to
Nah,
check.
they're a bunch of troublemakers, Bert. They're all a bunch of cheaters. Fuck them guys.
You
Quit
know,
cheating.
I mean,
Quit cheating.
I mean, if
You know,
there's some other test you can do, I mean, some other way to check things other than
They were
deck height.
talking. There is talk, and I haven't substantiated this at all, but from what I understand is there is dialogue happening that they're looking at replacing the static deck height rule with more of a droop rule type of deal like Lucas World of Outlaw has. Now, I don't know if that's 100% fact. I got that from pretty good sources, but there evidently is dialogue on that, and I believe that it should be that way. Because think about this, Bert, you don't you don't scale cars or whatever, but Changa has with me several times. You could take a car and let's say the deck height has to be 40 inches, right? From the center of the rear deck to the ground, 40 inches when the car's sitting there, driver in the car. Okay. Well, we all know what matters is how high is that deck in the air when the car's under power, right? That's what matters. What's crazy is you could have a driver that's at, say, 40 and a half, illegal, DQ'd, that maybe gets to X number in full droop, but the person that's maybe 39 and a half that's legal could technically, if they had more extension on the left rear and bar angles were right and the shock was, placed in the right spot, you could have your deck height higher under power than the person that was actually disqualified because theirs was too high a deck height. The rule is so stupid. It makes no sense. So you're spot on. That rule's got to go. And I believe they're looking at that. And I feel like I'm optimistic that they're going to change that for 2026. I guess we'll wait and see what happens.
say, and I don't know if I'm remembering this right, but I could have sworn, I don't know if it was like Monday of last week, and I'm going to say if I believe it was Zach Johnson had a Facebook video of them measuring their deck height in the shop over and over again, making sure it was right. And I'll be damned if he didn't get DQ nabbed for deck height like the first night.
And I'm telling you, all it takes is a little change. There's so many variables that the car's sitting there. I mean, last year, a couple in the top 3 of the Midwest mods got DQ'd for a static measurement, which happened to be a bar angle deal. And it was because they had a little bumper on their shock. So when the car went down, it didn't wreck the shock. Well, it didn't affect anything racing. So they have to look at some of these rules and go, all right, we're DQing all these people, but does it really matter? Like, does it really matter what we're doing here? And I don't know. I feel like if enough dialogue happens with the right people, maybe things can go forward in the right direction there. Changa, you mentioned moving the tires in, out, in, out, in, out. And I'm all for that in between races. I mean, because if the bottom's all of a sudden dominant and it's latching up or whatever, hell, move the tires out. Make the track wide, take away that one line, you got yourself a racetrack. Doing it in the middle of the race, though.
Yeah, no.
Kurt Myers agreed. So Bert, he won. It would have been the final night. He won the prelim night. I think it was the final night.
Friday night, yeah.
Yeah, Friday night. And they're interviewing him down there, and they're like, "I heard you're going to retire," and Kurt's hanging it up at the end of the season. He's going to pit for his boy. And he's like, I don't know what the hell Shaw's doing. If he's got that ADHD or what he's got going on, moving tires in and out and all around during the race. He's like, go find some other shit to do or whatever he says. And it's like, so I understand what Don's doing there because I believe this is the only track I've seen this at. When you're moving the tires in and out, you can really manipulate and make the racetrack a lot better. And I know Brown County does that in between races, and they really did a good job on the races that I watched there this year. But holy shit, you can't do that in the middle of a race. I mean, if you're literally leading the race, right? And all of a sudden you're like, I'm leading the race, we're 5 laps to go, and I'm just kind of rolling the bottom, and it is kind of one lane of train on the tires right now. And man, I'm sitting in an advantageous situation, and you're driving around the track, and they're pushing frickin' tires out in middle of the race, and next thing you know, you get drove by because they took your line away. Holy shit, right? And that didn't happen in this case. I mean, so I mean, it really changes. You get yourself in a rhythm. You're running a certain line, and they take that whole line away. I'm just not a believer in doing that mid race. I think that's when the tires are where they are, even if it's wrong, even if the tires might have been in the wrong spot, and he probably realized that and was like, shit, the racetrack could be better if I put him out here. God dang, you got to wait till the end of the race. You can't be doing that mid stroke.
That would be like misting the top side of the track mid race. You know, you're
we've seen that.
I've seen that.
Yeah, that's always the times I've seen that. I believe it was an accident. I don't think it was intended to do.
I don't know. I have some memories of it happening in Hibbing on a Saturday night before.
Yeah, I remember. I remember the tire deal in Hibbing one night too. I came from 12th. I passed Tyler Kittner for the lead. Diamond it, little tack strip coming off too. I drove by. Yellow comes out. They put me back a spot because they didn't complete that lap. And
I remember it.
lo and behold, they're moving the tires out right on the tack strip where I just passed them. I'm like, what the fuck? They just took my line away. I get second in the race and I lost it. I flipped out on the and needless to say, I got my shit all tore apart the next week because of I may have ran my mouth a little much and voiced my opinion a little bit too much, right? But yeah, moving the tires mid race, I'm totally against that. Green checkered finishes.
Oh, that is stupid too.
Man, I would like to smack somebody in the face with a baseball bat. Like whoever came up with that deal, it's just for our whole life. And I get it, things change, things evolve, whatever. Some things good, some things bad. It's always been green, white, checkered. What's the most exciting part of a race? Green, white, checkered finish. If you're gonna go green checkered, if everybody took the white flag, just throw the damn checkered. What are we doing here? We don't need a green checkered. There happened to be one of the finishes, a street stock race there. Dykhoff just about won. That was a good finish. But I don't know. What's your guys' thoughts on this green checkered deal?
Well, they don't want to run more than the advertised number of laps. But I mean, I don't know if all the tracks in eastern Wisconsin are this way, but I know Shawano, it's if the leader takes the white flag, the race is over if a caution comes out. And I guess I'd rather have the green checkered than just ending the race on the yellow.
Yeah, I've seen the leader. I've seen leader +1. I've seen leader +50%. I've seen everybody on the lead lap has to take the white flag if they do. The race is over. I've seen a multitude of different things, but yeah, I mean, as a fan goes, a finish under green is typically better and more entertaining than a finish under caution. But I don't know. I don't understand. They're trying to save a little time. Green white checkered finish is exciting. Now, if you're the leader, you're like, fuck no, green checkered, perfect. We don't need 2 laps. We don't need that, right? But I don't know. I'd like to hear everybody else's thoughts on that. I guess put in the comments below. What, as a fan, if there's people watching, what do you think? I mean, do you like the green checkered deal? Do you like green white checkered?
So
I don't know. I got my preference.
If you go green white checker and there's another yellow, then do you go green checker? I mean, I just wish there was some sort of rule on it, one way or another, so you know what you're getting into, right?
Yeah, it's different. It's different everywhere. Which at the 100, it was the same every time. They were consistent on it, but yeah, I don't know. I just find that interesting. And Lucas kind of has that, and it's kind of becoming the norm right now, which I'm not a fan, but I would be curious to hear what other people think,
What?
I guess.
Totally off the topic. I just wanted to run something by you today. I was doing a little research on USRA points, and they pay point for the heat races in USRA.
Oh, do they really?
That's what I come up with today.
Okay, I did not know that. I did not know that. So that is interesting. That would be I know UMP and IMCA do not, and I know none of the national series do, but USRA does. So that's interesting. Which I know USMTS does not, right? So
isn't USMTS technically USRA?
it's the traveling series technically for the USRA modifieds, but I guess I don't think they do. I'm pretty positive they do not. But I will. I guess I'll look into
Look into
USMTS.
it.
Yeah, I'll look into that. So, we did a draft. We talked about our teams here this past week, and how did you guys fare? I ended up third. I kind of had a pretty substantial lead after Thursday, and the way that we did the format is if your person locked in, you got essentially 25th place points. Well, all of my drivers except for one were in on Friday, so I got like the minimum. I got the minimum. J.R. Tardy took a massive lead because he had Joey Jensen, Tyler Vernon. They ran all 3 nights, right? So he had a big lead, almost 150-point lead, Bert. Oh, and he choked that bitch away. He choked it away, Bert. That's what he did. He's, Bert, this is painful for me to say. He's a Vikings fan, so it's a learned habit, right? It's a learned habit. And Rain Man chased him down, beat him by a handful of points there to get her done. So congrats, Rain Man. I got third. Where did you
Well,
guys fare
I
in
was
that
pretty.
deal?
I was very happy. I got a solid tied for 7th,
Tied for
but
7th.
but I did have 5 wins, and 2 of my people didn't even show up.
Right.
So considering and then I had another guy break leading the last night. So I mean, considering I had 2 people not show up to get 7th with 5 wins, I was pretty okay with that.
Bert, where did you finish in that deal?
I didn't even look where I
Ninth. You got ninth.
finished.
I got it right here. It was Rain Man, Tardy, me, Dano, and Uper tied for 4th, and then it was Worker B in 6th. Changa, you tied with Governor at 7th, and then it was Bert, Beefcake, Coach Kraus. Dude can't even get a top 10 in a draft, much less a race. I don't know what his deal is, right? There's a not hot list for you. And then Bromance and Man Bun Dan. So, yeah, pretty fun draft there that we had. Hoosier Tire. I guess we'll talk about them.
Yeah.
Delaminating. We got tire issues.
They can be the dud in every class.
I think the mods were maybe the
Whole
bulk
bunch
of it because they're a lot harder on the right rear. They build a lot more tire heat, and I know several, but Jody Belfi had a good run going the one night and delaminated a tire. Caden Blazer delaminated a tire, and they said there was several more out there. So
Hitchens was leading, I think, and had one go.
Ishins was leading and had one go. Oh, he did have one go. So it's unfortunate that you pay this much for these tires and they only last one race as it is, and these freaking tires can't last a race. I mean, it's a lot of money on the line. They got to put together a better product out there. I mean, they talk about driver safety and this and that, and you got freaking tires flying apart in the middle of a race. I mean, it's not like these are 100-lap races on rubber down racetracks either. The track it was fast. It was probably a track surface that built tire heat, but it wasn't something that you would think that your tire is going to just fall apart on. It's very unfortunate that that's all the better Hoosier Tire can do. And really, it sucks that really the only option out there is Hoosier or American Racer. And from, as far as the bids and all that go, American Racer was not an option. So pretty unfortunate deal. Yeah, I guess that'd be kind of the bulk of it. I mean, I'll mention some of the drivers, as we get into individual classes. We had the legendary 100. I'll kind of do the same thing there, I think, is, we'll just talk about some of the drivers as we get to each individual class. And we could probably roll into, before we jump into the studs and duds, should we talk silly season first? So big news.
Yeah.
Big news today in the 410 national sprint car scene. What did you guys learn?
Go ahead, Bert. You were the one that was taking notes, and I've got a bunch. I listened to all of it too, but you go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it was announced today that Rico Abreu is going to be racing the Tony Stewart Racing sprint car next year, and they're going to be racing High Limit, not World of Outlaws. So that's a change. But on Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s podcast, he had Stewart and Rico on there, and they talked about. Earnhardt Jr. asked Stewart about, how difficult it was to fire Donnie Schatz, after 18 years. And Stewart had some very interesting comments that he made. I mean, when the firing took place, he didn't really say too much, and he didn't come out and just say it. He kind of just subtly, put it out there. But I mean, well, it was interesting because when they said that Rico is going to be taking over the ride, Tony Stewart said, and Rico's going to be he's going to be running the entire sprint car operation. I don't have time for that. So he's going to run it. He's running his own right now. So I know he can do it. And then Stewart said, we always let Donnie run our program, and that led us down a road we didn't want to be on. So that was the first, that was the first one. And then, he also said that he should have made the move 2 years ago with Donnie Schatz. And he also said that he gave Schatz everything that he ever asked for. So, implying that whatever he wanted, he got. So, this is on him. And then Tony said that he himself wasn't excited about sprint car racing the last 2 years. So, which correlates back to he should have did this 2 years ago. So I don't know what took place in this last 2 years. And then he made the comment, this was in the middle of a statement, toxic atmosphere with Donnie. So I'm not exactly sure what that toxic atmosphere was, but just based on those comments, it must not have been a pleasant situation the last couple of years there.
So something that I took away from it too, and I don't know if you heard this part of it, but later in the podcast, they were he made a comment about, obviously the toxic relationship comes from the people at Tony Stewart Racing and Donnie, right? Well, he made it sound like there's a lot of animosity between the guys that are hard at work every day when Donnie shows up, races the car, and then disappears home, and he ain't never there. He ain't participating in any of the day-to-day on non-race days, and he's just abandoned, shows up at the track, things don't go right, he bitches, and then disappears home, and he ain't a part of the solution to try to fix it.
Well,
I didn't catch that part, but I did catch the part where, because Rico's every one of Tony Stewart's race teams is going to be working out of the same shop. So all the drag cars and then the sprint cars. And Tony made the comment, Rico's going to bring so much excitement to all of our teams, working here in the shop and whatnot. So that kind of correlates to what Changa just said.
And in the grand scheme of sprint car racing, I don't know if any driver, not named Kyle Larson, just based on who he is, but Rico Abreu is probably the most marketable guy in the sport, right? And so he's going to bring newfound energy to that whole shop for sure.
Well, and that's one thing Stewart said too is, Rico's run his own team. He goes out there, gets his sponsorships, and he goes out and does sponsorship appearances. He knows what it takes to do this. So,
I think some of this is a little bit unfair for Tony Stewart. I mean, sounds like let's face it, Tony Stewart's always been kind of a fucking dickhead, right? I mean, let's face it. I mean, the facts are the punching reporters and camera people. I mean, the guy's an asshole, always has been, right? But the fact is, he's a winner, and Tony Stewart, he wants to win. Donnie Schatz was no longer winning. Okay, let's start there. That right there. Hey, you can handle a little bit of negative attitude and all that if you're winning races. Okay, if you're not winning races, that's out the window. It's like this got to go. And Tony had a lot happen, or not Tony, but Donnie had a lot happen, right, in the last few years. Lost his dad. I think he went through a divorce, and so he had some stuff happen there. Plus, he's kind of on. Let's face it, right? We talked about it. He's on the proverbial age cliff. It just is what it is. He could quit right now today, never race another lap again. He has absolutely cemented himself on the Mount Rushmore of sprint car racing. Well, it's not arguable. And for Tony Stewart to come, well, that led us down a road we didn't want to be on. holy fuck, look how much you guys won. Why do you got to be a dickhead about it? You don't have to say this shit on the podcast. Don't be an asshole.
He did say early on that, that they, it's 18 years. They won a lot of races. They won a lot of championships in those 18 years. And he always thought that, Donnie would retire, racing for him. But then he went into, we went down this road and blah, blah, blah. So.
Yeah. And the fact is, once you kind of get to that point of your career where you're just no longer the guy, as a racer, right? As a racer, I won several, Wasota championships, and I got to that point where I was still competitive, but I wasn't dominating like I was in the super stock, so to speak. And well, Donnie Schatz was used to dominating. He was the guy. He was no longer dominating. Your attitude more than likely is gonna change. Well, guess what? Rico Abreu's the next big thing. He's talented. He's got a lot of energy. He's he's ascending, right? Not descending. And that's just the way it works. I understand the move. I understand being like, hey, at some point this got to end. I know you ain't gonna like it, but taking the pot shots like that on the podcast, in my opinion, for somebody that you had a friendship, and I get it, Donnie Schatz owes him a lot of gratitude for all the backing that he had to be able to do what he wanted to do. I think the pot shots were kind of unnecessary. I don't believe, at least I have not seen, I don't think Donnie Schatz has been like necessarily firing pot shots across the bow, has he, like that? I mean, maybe he has.
I haven't
Nothing that
seen
I've
any.
seen. So, I mean, for two people that seem to be kind of inseparable for a long period of time, why do you have to end it like Tom Brady and Bill Belichick did, where you fucking hate each other at the end of this deal? What, like, can't you just be like, hey, we had a hell of a ride, we won a lot of shit, moving on to a different direction. Good luck. Hey, we wish him the best. It just wasn't working out. Leave it at that. But no, he's gotta fire shots across the bow at him, and it's unfortunate because in my mind, right, Donnie Schatz deserves a hell of a lot more respect than that. Is Donnie Schatz cooked? Maybe. I don't know. He's had a terrible season, horrible season, right? This might be the only time he's gone winless. And he ain't sniffed a win, right? So this might be it. He has 0 wins on the year.
You can't even put that guy on the dud list because he's not even relevant.
He's not. He's not relevant in the sprint car world right now. It's like all good things come to an end. I mean, it just is what it is. Billy Moyer, probably, I mean, without question, Billy Moyer, bam, he is 1,000% on the Mount Rushmore of late model racing. There, it's not even debatable. But on the national late model scene, Billy Moyer's he's completely not relevant.
You don't even
relevant.
race.
Yeah, right.
It was the same with Bloomquist when he was,
Yep.
At the tail end of his racing career.
If Donnie Schatz was racing regional 410 shit, right, like little regional series, he'd win races. Huh. Donnie Schatz he'd win races doing that for sure. But I don't know. I just don't like the firing shots across the bow.
Oh,
I had another thing too, something that, another, and that might be where you're going here, Bert, something else, just to the story is the World Outlaws losing that car and that car going to high limits. That's a big story, right? That's a kick in the pants for the World of Outlaws, so, they're taking, apparently Tony Stewart's able to lease Rico's franchise and they're able to go, be potentially another win tonight, but 9 more races, they could be the number 1 franchise team. So that in the rankings, I think the number 1 team gets the most money, going forward for the next, it's a 2-year deal, but I think they get the most money going forward. So I think that's a pretty good deal. And then Rico bringing all his equipment and merging it together too. I mean, that's interesting. And then I think, was it Man Bun Dan today talking about the Stenhouse team too? Where do they go after? Was it Schuhart's or was it Hodenschild? Right? Sheldon at the end of the year. Where does that team go? I mean, World of Outlaws is kind of got to have to step up their game here. They might lose some major players in their series.
You got to remember they lost Hot Sauce too, right? Giovanni Scelzi had been relevant. Now he's running some high limit. Where will he land in this?
Rumor has it they're starting a second team for him right where he's at.
Really?
I heard that rumor on Dirt Tracker Daily this week.
So there's another high limit World of Outlaw, a high limit mix. where will Donnie Schatz land? Will he land? Right?
Right.
I don't think they've even really came out and said where he's going to be, who he's going to be racing for over the next stretch here. Right?
I did hear a rumor on that too, and it's escaping me now.
So I mean, that's a silly season's among us, right? You got question marks on where Sheldon Hottenchild is it. You said it kind of sounds like they're doing
It
some.
sounds like they might start, obviously the 7BC car is taken. That's Tyler Courtney's ride, but it sounds like
Yep.
they might start another team. And then I guess, not to change the subject too much, but we got a little silly season going in the late models, of course, this week now too, with Mike Marlar leaving, switching teams. And now it sounds like there's a good chance of Dalton Wilson being done at the end of the year too, from what I'm hearing.
Yeah, Marlar back to Ronnie Delk. Still going to be sponsored by Bruning Rock Products. But yeah, a lot of question marks there on Dalton Wilson as well. Remember I maybe they might just be out of money, right? Because it sounds like they heard some motors. That could be a possibility. It costs a lot of money, and his results haven't been as such to where it's going to kind of keep funding this deal.
And
So
he ended up missing one of the races as well, just because he missed one of the Lucas races, and then he had to skip the World 100. And
is Brandon Overton going to stay in the Longhorn House car?
I haven't heard any rumors anywhere, shape, or form on that. But I mean,
I hope
I'd
not.
get out of that
we
car
could
as fast as
speculate
I
that he's
could.
got to be unhappy.
Right. Yeah. That
Should we
has
start the
not been a
rumor?
good deal. Yeah. Yeah. We could start that right there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Is he going to be leaving the Longhorn House car? I don't know.
I
Right.
think we'll start the rumor of Aho to the Longhorn host car.
Yeah. That thing's already slow. It don't need to go much slower. So I don't know.
You got
All right.
small shoes to fill.
One
Bert?
other tidbit from that interview though was Rico said he's only racing 410 sprint cars. That's all he's racing. No Chili Bowl for him this year, he said.
Okay. Okay. And that might be one of them deals is like, hey, we're gonna hit the ground running. We want to win the championship. We got big goals. I mean, they got crown jewels they want to win. I mean, there is massive expectations when you're driving for Tony Stewart Racing, right? That has been a top-notch operation for its duration. Yeah, we know Donnie Schatz ain't been the same the last couple of years, but I would expect to see Rico Abreu continue to be absolutely rock solid in that 24 car. So silly season, it's going to be crazy. Just getting started. Schedule drops. Usually we don't see schedules drop for 2026, Bert, until at the earliest
November.
December. Yeah, maybe November. Well, it's different though when you are the track in the area that kind of has all the big events, and then all the other tracks are essentially, all right, that track gets all the cars, all the fans, all that. We got to set our schedule around them. And that's the 141 Speedway over there in eastern Wisconsin. Some notable things on their schedule. Now, keep in mind they've always got the Clash at the Creek, all the King of the Creek, all this 10,000 win for all their classes and big shows. What's a couple things that stuck out to you on their schedule for 2026?
Well, first of all, they must feel like they're not getting enough cars on a weekly basis because they added the Grand National division back to their weekly show. Grand Nationals were part of their show. They dropped them last year, and now they're adding them back. So, I mean, this track gets 150 to 200 cars weekly the way it is. I mean, the Grand National division isn't a huge division. It's maybe 10, 15 cars, but I mean, it's, still more cars.
Yeah, maybe don't need that. I noticed, so this year they had the high limit sprint cars on the schedule. Doesn't appear that's on the schedule, but there is something big on the schedule for next year, Bert.
Well, yeah, before I get to that, I was thinking about this because the high limit race they had this year, that race, the payout came from, I can't remember the specifics, but it's a race that takes place every year. And I think it like travels to different tracks because a few years during COVID, it was at at Plymouth Dirt Track in Wisconsin, and now this year it was at 141. So maybe that's why High Limit isn't on the schedule. But
And
yeah,
maybe it's going to get added, right? Because
it's
their
possible.
schedule is not posted yet either.
Well,
So
yeah,
we don't know.
maybe the organization doesn't want
Right.
it released yet.
Right.
If they are coming back. But late model fans, World of Outlaw 2-day show. I believe it's June 19th and 20th. Next year. What's interesting to me is that weekend was always, for the last 3 years, that's when Dirt Kings has raced at 141 Speedway. So I'm not exactly sure how that all goes together. So we'll have to wait and see. But yes, World of Outlaws will be at 141 Speedway. And then their 10,000 to win shows, the Clash at the Creek, the King of the Creek, and the Captain of the Creek. Those were always Wednesday, Thursday shows. They're going to be Friday, Saturday shows now this year. So if you're a track in Eastern Wisconsin that runs on a weekend, you're going to be competing against 141. And like you said earlier, 141 is the track that has all the big events, so they can kind of dictate what they want to do, and everybody has to just kind of follow in line and plan their schedules accordingly. And maybe that's why they release their schedules so early, so the other tracks can schedule around it. Now, Lexi Raceway in Luxembourg, they released their schedule today for next year, and they would always do races the Sunday night prior to the 10,000 to win shows. Now they're gonna do it on I think Wednesday night. They're Lexi's gonna race on Wednesday night, and then 141 usually has a practice before the big show and then they'll race Friday, Saturday. So yeah, two tracks already have released their schedules.
Interesting
Are
stuff.
you going to go to that World Outlaw race at 141?
Yes, I will be going. I was telling Aho, I said we should have a Pick'em's party in Eastern Wisconsin. They
Well,
have campgrounds. Bring your camper.
there is absolutely no way any of us should go because Bert always brings the rain to that place anyhow, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
I
That's
ain't
a good
driving
point.
that far to get rained out.
I mean, they have a camper, and during the day we could go tour the Packer Hall of Fame and tour
I already
Lambeau.
did that one time. I urinated on it.
Yeah, you're cutting out really bad there. I'm not really sure. Well, we'll move on to the next topic on that note right there. Let's jump into our studs and duds here. Let's talk racers. So we talked racetracks, we talked the Wasota 100, we talked some events, silly season, but let's get into the drivers here. We talk national, then we talk late models and modifieds and super stocks and Midwest mods, streets, grassroots, and we kind of break that down. And but before we do, how about a shout out to Brad Parson's Soil and Egg Solution. So, harvest season is here. That's money making season. If you know anything about farming, which I do not, Brad does. Okay, I do not. I do know this, that the higher the yields you have, that means you can probably make more money. Well, if you're in western Minnesota, the Dakotas, why not give a guy a call that's involved with dirt track racing? He's one of us, right? He's a racer, and he's been, Brad Parsons Soil and Egg Solution. They've been supplying products to people for a number of years now, have had great results. Help him, by giving him a call at 320-219-3542, and let's see if he can get you the right stuff in those spray packages to help you make more money. That's Brad Parsons Soil and Egg Solution. So let's jump into national. So let's whether that's late models, 410 sprint cars, USMTS modifieds, right? Whatever it may be. But give us your stud, give us your dud. Bert, we're gonna start with you on the national scene.
All right. Well, I actually have two listed for stud, but I'll just do one. I'm going to go with the high side hustler, Jason Feger. He is by far the top driver in the Mars series this year. This past weekend they raced 3 times the Mars series. He got a first, and a second. So it's pretty good. And currently he has a 112-point lead in the standings, the Mars Series standings.
And he won the UMP Dirt Car Summer Nationals points, right?
Yep.
And he's also leading UMP Dirt Car Late Model National standings as well. So
15 wins, I believe.
I think so. Jason Fager is another guy, right? National Touring Series, World of Outlaw Lucas, he's just a guy. He's just a guy. Does not have the budget to compete at that level, okay? But when it comes to regional racer, he's one of the best in the country, 1,000%.
Yeah, and I watched the what was the track they were at in Iowa?
Davenport.
Davenport. Yeah. I watched Saturday night's feature, and he started that feature 9th, and it didn't look like he was going to win. And then all of a sudden at the end, he went to the top, and I mean, he was making ground, and he wound up winning that race. So, like you said, you know, on the national scene, he can compete with those guys, but you know, he's not a top runner. But regionally, he's one of the best.
Yeah, I was a dumbass and decided, hey, I'm going to be contrarian and I'm going to pick against Fager because Elberson's going to go run with him and he's a national touring guy. So I'm going to try to steal one here. Yeah, that worked out real.
Thank you for that. You kicked their ass bad enough last week in the points, so that just kind of made it a little bit more tolerable for us.
And then for Dud, I'm gonna go high limit. They went to Pennsylvania. They were racing in Pennsylvania, and Macri finished 9th and 13th. So
you're officially putting Anthony Macri on the dud list, then, is what you're saying?
Yes.
That's why I picked him this week. That's why I picked him. Thanks, buddy. Thanks for the help. All right, Sean, who you got?
I don't even think Macri raced tonight, did he?
No, but I think he's going to Eldora, though.
Okay. So my national level stud, I went with Ashton Winger this week. And so his last 4 races, he got a second at Farmers City. It was a dirt car race back on August 29th. Then he won at Fairbury on a dirt car race on the 30th. Got a 7th at Spoon River. And then he won a World Outlaws race this last week at Sonoya. So Ashton Winger quietly putting together a pretty good string of finishes here lately, quietly, that I didn't even necessarily realize. So he's going to be my stud of the week. And then my dud, he's been on this list a lot here lately. I'm going with Ryan Gustin. He went, 3 races last week. Went to that Bloomquist Memorial race down at Volunteer, started 14th, wheeled her all the way up to 19th. And then the 2 World Outlaw races, he got he's considered, I guess, people kind of think of him as maybe the number 3 guy, 3-ish guy in World Outlaws, probably 3rd in the points, but he got a solid 8th at Needmore and a 12th at Sonoya. So, I mean, he's just not been very competitive the last, since Cedar Lake, really.
He's massively inconsistent, right? And he can go out there and he wins the USA Nationals. He rattle off a win, some top 3s, and charges to the front. And then he's not like, we talk Pierce. Pierce will be winning, and then he has a bad night. He got 3rd, right?
Right.
Gustin, he can win top 3, and then a bad night, he's 19th, 12th, 18th. It's like, so he's just kind of all over the place. We're not really sure what to think with him. He's just maybe not quite matured into that consistency side of things yet. He's got speed,
and then
usually.
The other thing is he don't have horns.
Well, that could into infinity and beyond. That's what he's got right there. Basically,
it's cool. The shirt's cool.
And don't call it a copy, because he'll take that as an offense. He'll light your ass up on social media. I saw somebody said, well, Infinity's just a copy anyway. Come look at my effing car, he said. It's not a damn copy. It's totally different, he said. Well, I don't know. I haven't seen one myself. So national scene, little USMTS. So Bert, he said he's Changa, normally the guy that's consistent. I'm going to stick with the status quo. You can basically Jim Chisholm, Rodney Sanders, Jim Chisholm, right? That's Changa. He pulls one out of his ass. He picks Tyler Wolf. You only picked him one day, though. You didn't pick him the whole weekend. But Tyler Wolf this weekend, Bert, in USMTS action down at Tri-State, He got a first, a DNF in the first. I don't know what happened on night number 2. He was in the top 3 late in the race. I don't know if there was an incident, flat tire. I'm not sure what happened. So he DNF'd that. But realistically, Tyler Wolf was on the verge of maybe winning all 3 nights in USMTS action. Pretty solid run. 13 wins on the year. Of course, not all with USMTS because he's not running USMTS series. How about Oklahoma sprint car racers? We think PA Posse, then we think California, right? You got Sweet and Macedo and Kyle Larson, right? And Rico. Oklahoma sprint. If I said pick a state, and I'm going to tell you right now that you got some studs in that state in 410s. I don't think Oklahoma would be on the bingo card unless you really know sprint car racing, right? Ryan Timms from Oklahoma, Knoxville Nationals, Tuscarora 50. He won over at Port Royal here a couple weeks back. Tanner Thorson, 12th to 1st at Lernerville in high limits last week. Dason Pursley, who's been red hot, 3rd and a 1st at Lernerville. 3 410 sprint car drivers from Oklahoma, of all freaking places, right? So thought that was kind of interesting. On the dud, like you said, it's hard to go with shots because he's just having that year. But I'm going to go USMTS modified racing in general. Kind of been a little bit ho-hum. But Bert, did you notice that Kyle Strickler dropped off the series?
I had heard that.
Yeah, he started running late models. How many drivers? So the top drivers, right? 30 shows is what they have on the year. USMTS, undoubtedly touted as the #1 series in traveling series for dirt modifieds in the country, right? How many drivers do you think raced all 30 shows so far this year that raced all the shows so far this year in USMTS modifieds?
8.
Jesus.
I'm gonna go 5.
We got Rain Man over here, Bert, right? It's 8. It is 8. Just a few years back, it was definitely over 10, and it's kind of just dwindling down a little bit. Is that we've seen shows, guys, this year where they've had right around 20 cars at some of these shows. Is that series maybe in need of a little bit of a makeover? Are they in a little bit of trouble moving forward?
I think you bring up a good point. I mean, they're obviously not doing enough to attract, consistent car counts. And, I mean, realistically, you got to have at least a dozen guys follow it everywhere, right? I mean,
so here's a question I have for you guys, right? Is they brought to, I'm not going to say they, but a gentleman brought forward several USRA modified like regional pocket series, right? The Heartland Modified Tour, the Northern Lights Modified Tour. So every one of these USRA, USMTS, same car, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But you got all these little USRA regional mini series, right? Is that hurting the USMTS series? I mean, you look like, I think Tyler Wolf maybe is leading one of them series. I think he used to follow, right? Joe Duval, he's racing that regional stuff. He's not following the national stuff. Are those little regional series, is that a good thing or bad thing for modified racing, and a good thing or bad thing for the USMTS modified tour?
I think it's good for modified racing, maybe not so good for the national tour, but I mean, let's be honest, not everybody has the budget or the ability to be a national touring team. And these regional racers, they deserve to have some regional series that they can race and have some profitable races and still compete against quality competition, sharpen their pencil, get better, and maybe potentially someday take their game to the next level. So I like it, I guess.
They've had some good car counts, and I've talked to one of my favorite drivers of modified racing, Brandon Davis. And I'm like, dude, you need to follow the USMTS series. He's like, that's just not going to happen. I got a full-time job. I got a family. I don't have that kind of budget. I build my own car. There's just no way. He can't do it. It's only 30 shows. It's not that many shows. I would love to see somebody be like, all right, one year I'm going to back, right? Man Bun Dan, right? worker bee, right? He works enough. Fund this guy, right? Get some money out there for Brandon. I'd love to see Brandon Davis follow a national series. I don't know that he's interested, but if somebody maybe funded it for him, he might be. Bert, you had a comment there?
Well, I was just going to say, wasn't it a few years ago? They were kind of in this situation where not a lot of drivers were following it, so then they upped the purses for each race, and then also the purse at the end of the year. But inflation and everything, has taken a hold over the last few years. So it is expensive to even only 30 shows. It's still expensive to
They travel a large
travel
distance.
across the country. I mean, because they race all over the place. I mean, it's not like they just race in a smaller area. I mean, that's where the regional series come into play. And then another thing with you at USMTS is there are some places where they can't race just because it's IMCA country. I mean, Eastern Wisconsin, it was maybe 8 years ago. They had a week of USMT at MTS racing in Eastern Wisconsin at like 4 or 5 different tracks. Spectator crowds were awful. Car counts were bad because the IMCA cars wouldn't race with them because they felt they couldn't compete.
Yeah, you're spot on, and I'm glad you brought up the tracks because I have talked to a couple different promoters, right, that had USMTS races in the past that did not have them on their schedule this year, right? And I'm like, man, why not? And they're like,
They
car
don't
counts are
draw.
down. Yeah, car counts are down, and as good a drivers as Rodney Sanders is, right, and the Chisholm boys, and you know, uh, Tanner Mullins, right? Terry Phillips. As good of drivers as these guys are, we can't justify paying $5,000 to win, $10,000 to win on back-to-back nights. We can't do it, right? Because, like you said, Changa, I love them. They put on some good racing. They do, but it's not National Late Model Touring Series. It's not, and it's definitely not World of Outlaw Sprint Cars. They just don't bring enough crowds. So could we see the possibility of that series shrinking even a little bit more and a little bit more focus on these regional things, and maybe even seeing I don't know that USMTS would go away necessarily, but I think some things might have to change because the tracks are saying they just can't afford it. There's not enough value there for them. And as we can see, there's not many drivers following it anymore either. So going to be interesting to keep an eye on. Point stuff here on the national touring side, really quick. High limits, Rico leading 25 points ahead of Brad Sweet, 10 shows left to go. Okay. I don't know what it is after tonight. Rico won. Where did Brad Sweet finish?
Would guess fourth or fifth.
Okay, so he extended that point lead just a little bit. So
Well, there's two
left.
different deals there. There's the owner's points and the driver's points, and they're both tight, but different players, right? I think
we don't. Yeah, we talk driver points, right? We don't we talk driver points here. We don't. The other stuff is just secondary extra, which is good for the team, right?
The whole Reitzel Sanders team is there
for sure. As far as in the owner points, World of Outlaw Sprint Cars, that's over, right? I mean, David Gravel's got a 144-point lead over Buddy Kofoid, 256 over Macedo. There's 16 shows left counting the World Finals. I don't think it's even going to be a competition going into the World Finals. World of Outlaw late models, BP 32, Bobby Pierce, 116-point lead over Hoffman, 266 over the Reaper, Ryan Gustin. Only 7 shows left. Supposed to be 9. They canceled. Remember Tri-City, Granite City, they canceled them shows. They had a rough year financially, all the rain. So that one's going to be a tall task for Hoffman to catch them. Castro Flow Racing Night in America, 3 shows left there. Pierce, JD, 48-point difference. USMTS, Rodney Sanders, 80-point lead over Tanner Mullins, 131 over Jim Chisholm, 395 over Joe. But this week, guys, is the final week of Lucas Oil regular season points to lock in the final 4 going into a 5-race battle at the end of the year. So they have a 3-night deal this week in Knoxville Nationals. And as it sits right now, RTJ, JD, Devin Moran, Hudson O'Neill are your 4 locked in drivers. Okay. Brandon Shepard is 220 points behind Hudson O'Neal. That's a tall task. Garrett Alberson is in 6th, 275 points behind. Now remember, they get 10 points per win. When this resets, there's going to be 5-point shows left. September 26th, 27th, they're going to race at Brownstown. October 3rd and 4th at Pittsburgh. October 17th and 18th. 17th is not points. That's the Dirt Track World Championship at Eldora. They get 10 points per win when they do the reshuffle, okay? RTJ's got 13 wins on the year, so he'll have 130 points to start. JD has 6 wins, so he'll have 60. Moran has 5, so he'll have 50 points. Huddy has 4, so he'll have 40 points. So start as it sits. That's not counting Knoxville. As it sits, RTJ is going to start with a potentially 70-point lead. But you look at them tracks, right? Pittsburgh, Eldora, Brownstown. Brownstown's kind of a smaller bull ring, but man, you get to Pittsburgh and Eldora. A while back, I'm like, boy, that's an advantage, JD. But holy shit, RTJ's got to be feeling pretty good after just getting done winning the World 100. So, going to be interesting. Big week in Knoxville.
Something else that's became a little bit more interesting, potentially make a guy have a little bit of a chance if you're, say, the 3rd or 4th place guy, is now with them 2 Woo races canceling, the Woo guys will be at Brownstown now, probably.
Yeah, very, very possible. That
so
could
now
definitely
you might
be.
get a few more players in contention, maybe to just stir the pot a little bit, and then obviously they'll all be in Eldora. But
they'll all be in Eldora. Yep, they will definitely be there. So let's jump into late models. More on the, of course, regional side of things here. Bert.
Stud of the week, I'm gonna go Brett Swedberg. There were 2 local races at Outagamie Speedway this past weekend. He finished 2nd in the first feature and 1st in the second feature. So 2nd and the 1st on the week. And then I just want to do mention Nick Anvelink was not at that race. He wasn't at the Legendary in Cedar Lake. He was actually racing with the Mars Series in Davenport. And on Friday night, he won the B feature and finished, I believe, 8th in the final feature. And Saturday night, he qualified through his heat race for the feature, and he started 12th, was up to 7th in the first 15 laps or so, and then he pulled to the infield. I don't know what happened. It wasn't a tire issue because they didn't do anything with the tires, and so hopefully he didn't hurt a motor or anything. But overall, I think it was a strong performance for him down in the Mars Series.
Good deal. Nick's a hell of a race car driver for sure. Any duds?
Yes, I have one. I'm gonna go with Justin Ritchie. He finished 4th and 6th this past weekend at Outagamie, which isn't horrible, but he has 0 feature wins this year. Just hasn't been a great year for him. You expect him to get in victory lane a few times during the year, but he doesn't have any this year.
Yeah, it's not been a good year for him for sure. Changa.
So local late model, my stud, I don't know that there is anybody else. It's Chad Becker, right? I mean, he had the horns up. He put on a performance, beat the best of the best twice there down at I-94 this last week. I guess we ain't going to speak about the Challenge Series portion because that didn't go so hot for him, but dominant performance and, pretty much proven, in my mind, he's been the top late model in Wasota land this year.
And you hear a lot of people, oh, he ain't following the Challenge Series and whatever. He ain't racing against nobody. Well, I tell you what, that field of cars at the Challenge at the Wasota 100 was stout, and he won, and it really wasn't close. So there is that. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about Chad Becker when it gets to me. But Chad Becker had a hell of a weekend. Congrats, fourth Wasota 100 win. I believe
right.
2 of them. Were at Fergus. I believe 2 were at Fergus. Might have been Huron.
Huron and Aberdeen, or one at each.
Yeah, somewhere out there for sure.
Okay, so my dud, I'm gonna go with Dan Ebert. Right, we got a Lucas Oil late model guy. He's coming back to Wasota land, and he's gonna, do a little cherry picking. goes out there. First night starts 17th, wheels it all the way up to 14th. Then he goes 20th to 12th. Then he goes 11th to 7th and 10th to 8th and 23rd all the way up to 18th. I mean, just a complete and utter non-factor in any of the nights. I mean, it was I mean, he didn't even look like he belonged amongst the top guys in Wasota, let alone in a national touring series.
But according to what you just said, he advanced in every race that he raced in.
Yeah, that's
so.
nice. I mean, yeah, that's great.
Yeah, silver linings.
That's great.
Silver
+2
linings.
against a bunch of. He went to the minor leagues and he couldn't pass them guys.
And he got a 10th, 8th, 6th, and 15th in the mod. So it really, you know, when he unloaded, I saw his name there. I'm like, he's a contender. I mean, Dan's really, really good at Fergus, and
hell yeah,
boy, he couldn't have been very happy with. And I don't know all the details. And maybe he had issues, but he had a rough week for sure. So I'm gonna get to Chad Becker last, but I got to give a few shout outs here, right? Cade Nelson, 17 wins on the year. What's he got? I think like 9 of his last 12 USRA late model races.
Yeah, so he's on my stud for the grassroots, so I can give you some of that.
All right, well, I'll save that. I'll just leave that for you then. So Cade, USRA late models, grassroots. All right, fair enough. We're gonna roll that there. James Nitro G.O.A.T, back-to-back wins in the postseason, back-to-back weekends with wins in the postseason. One night, 2 of the Northern Nationals. He gets her done, wins the legendary 100 at the Cedar Lake Speedway. Hell of a weekend for him. Trevor Anderson. Trevor Anderson has 6 straight top 5s in Tri-State late model action. He got a first and a third this past week in Tri-State late model action. He won at Clay County. He's only 27 points out of first. Only 1 night left to go. I think it's this Saturday at Park Jefferson. So good luck, Trevor. I'd like to see him maybe somehow steal that win. I mean,
Who's
it's going to take.
that deal?
I think it's the mod guy from down by Rochester. The rookie. I think it's the hell's his name. Bert, can you look that up while we're chatting? Tri-State late model points. I should have it here. Trevor's in second. I know that. I'd like to see him get first. Then I got Dave Moss. Dave Moss, right? He was a thorn in our side. We didn't really like him, and he didn't really like us when we were racing. But man, I respect the hell out of him, and I'm appreciative of all the years we had competing, because it was definitely some epic battles along the way. But man, he put it together in the stretch run for the Structural Buildings Wasota Late Model Challenge Series. He ended that deal with a winning at Gondiclaw Speedway, 6th at the Silver 1000, 1st at the Wasota Classic, a 4th and 14th at Labor Day, a 4th and a 5th at I-94 to win his first ever Challenge Series championship. So congratulations, Dave Moss, on that. But Chad Becker, I'm telling you what, Bert.
JT Wasman?
JT Wasman, that's the guy. He's a rookie in the late model. Yes.
And I should mention too, Snowdrift had a really good run at Davenport.
Okay.
He led around 42 of the 50 laps on Saturday night, but then he kind of got snookered around a little bit and wound up finishing 4th, but a very good run for him.
Nice. So we'll talk Wasota National points right now. Guys, it's over, okay? Tyler Peterson is going to be the national champion for the 3rd straight year. And this is no disrespect to the 1 TPO. He's hell of a race car driver. I love watching him race. He's fantastic, okay? But Chad Becker got, in my mind, okay, this is going to be the dud of the week, is Wasota, the Wasota promoters, and specifically the Wasota promoters in the state of South Dakota, okay? Because if it was the top 20 shows right now, she would be dang near tied. They'd be within a point or 2, because they are a long ways apart, right? But he has 17 total wins on the year. Here's 3 races that don't get to count. And remember, they went from the best 20 shows. One of the promoters decided to be a great idea to go back to the best 30 for late models. Donkey award to that person. But the fact of the matter is, they're late models. There's not a lot of shows. There's only a couple people that even get enough shows for the top 30 to be a thing. So it's a huge mistake. That needs to go back to 20, 25 at the very most, okay, to make it more relevant. Because that's the reason why Mod
I was
Tours,
thinking the
Pure
same thing
Scotch,
today.
Hornets, that's why they only have 20, because there's less races, okay, period. And modifieds should be the same dang thing. Modifieds should be best 20 also, because there's way less races than there is for all these other classes. But late model is even more. There's very few late model tracks even out there. But here's the deal. So 2 tri-state races at Brown County, he got a sweep, won the heat, won the feature, and a second and a second. Both of those would have been keepers, right? He swept at Huron. That was a tri-state show. And then they added heat points, right? Which eliminated the Saturday of the Wasota 100, which he won, right? So there's 4 shows right there that would have counted. And if they would have been counting the best 20 shows, I'm telling you right now, he might be leading. He might be leading right now. So that's a painful deal. But congratulations, Tyler Peterson. I mean, that again, no disrespect to him. I mean, he's phenomenal. He's a hell of a race car driver. But
He's
boy, if
doing
I'm
what he has to do.
yeah, 1000%. But if I'm Chad Becker, I'm sitting back there going, good grief, man. They made all these changes, and he's got to be thinking about, this kind of pimped me out of a championship here. But it is what it is. It is what it is. He still had a hell of a season.
He had the option to go race more.
Yep. So a couple others.
PPO did. He didn't.
So yeah, that's for sure. And he ran mostly local. Late model stuff. Bert, you watch the late model feature. There's a couple drivers that won prelim nights, right? That looked the part. They look good, and and just, it's a tough deal. I don't want to dog on them, but was it the inexperience maybe in the late model deal of a couple drivers that maybe were, in my mind, possibly underdogs to win the Wasota 100 that just got a little overzealous early? Josh Simple jumped out to the lead, spun out, leading, right? What was that, lap 2?
Oh, yeah.
Lap 3?
Right? All by himself. No, it was
lap 1, lap 2.
After lap
it was
5,
pretty,
wasn't it?
okay, it was early.
It was early,
it was very,
but I think it was,
yeah, early.
But yeah, he just spun out all by himself. I mean, there wasn't a car near him.
And then my boy Johnny Broking, I mean, he was quick early, and he put a move on Becker. And I get it. Johnny's on the chip. He's aggressive. He's going to give her, and probably a little ill-advised. And he ended up getting kind of wadded up there early in the race and ended his night early. And it's like, God dang, just that little bit of impatience early in the race. If they could have just stuck around, they both might have contended to win this deal. And that right there is the experience, right, of a guy like Chad Becker, just kind of, I'm going to get out, I'm going to do my thing. And Chad Becker's not the guy that's going to make them bold, super crazy moves like that. And it paid off. He won his 4th Wasota 100. All right, let's jump into modifieds, Bert.
Modifieds for stud, I'm going to go with Lance Arneson. He hasn't raced too much this year. He hasn't raced much last year either. He has his son, who's I think like 7 or 8 years old, races off-road small trucks. So they're traveling around with that. So Lance doesn't get a chance to race as much. In fact, he's only raced 4 races all year this year. But last weekend at Seymour, he finished 3rd, and he won the feature on Saturday night. So even though he hasn't raced too much, he still knows how to finish on the podium. And for dud, I'm going to go with Jordan Bartz this year. She just hasn't had a good year this year. Last weekend, she finished 10th and 11th at Seymour. Only 1 feature win this year. I know she has posted on Facebook that she's dealing with a few health issues, so maybe that has, that's affected her racing a little bit. So hopefully, whatever the health issues are, hopefully they're better by next year.
Yeah, get well soon. Hopefully a rebound season next year for sure. Changa.
So now, if we're going to the Wasota 100, right? I mean, would you agree that arguably the first night and the last night, they're probably the hardest to win, right? I mean,
Yep.
all of the best are there the first night, and then you weeded out the the riffraff and the best of the best are here the last night. Well, that being said, Ryan Gerke, he won the first night and he won the last night. So he's going to be my stud of the week. One against the toughest field, both of his wins. So hats off to him. An incredible job. And, someone we expect to be kind of in the hunt, but maybe none of us picked to win, right?
He's fun to watch. That kid is fun to watch. He's fun to watch.
I guess so. My dud, we're going to go with Blake Adams. He had a 12th place finish, and then he had a 21st place DNF, a 24th place DNF. And then Saturday, he just left her in the trailer, decided not to even race it at all and try to come through the bees to get into the features. So we'll go with him as my dud of the week.
Yeah, he had a pretty forgettable weekend in the modified there. I mean, he lost the point lead, right? Shane Sabraski went out and he didn't win a race. I think he got second to one night, but he went out there and leaving the Wasota 100, Shane Sabraski 16:45, Blake Adams 16:44. Now keep in mind, Blake's throwing out 53. Sabraski's got a 51 and a 52.
Oh,
so
Jesus.
little bit of an advantage here for the 7A. So studs of the week here, right? So I got, I'm going to give Bryce Swart a shout out here. He's put together a nice season. Usually a 1-win guy, 2-win guys in the late models, took a year off, jumps into the ride, that I believe the car, not the same car, but the same ride that Zach Johnson was driving, and 5 wins on the year. He got 4th, nice top 5 finish at the 100. Brady Utanen putting together a solid postseason with a podium finish, 3rd at the legendary. Nick Ayotte rebounding from that DQ, tough break, 22nd to 2nd, DQ'd for deck height with a 4th place finish there. AJ Diemel, guy that barely races at all, but he always finds himself in the front. He wins a legendary 100. But I'm going to go Brandon Dolman. Nobody picked him in the draft, right? Not a guy. Up until the Wasota 100, he had 0 career Wasota or was A mod wins. 0. I think he's got like 1 or 2 maybe B mod wins, right? Not a guy that he won a prelim night. He won one of the prelim nights, and then he led a bunch of laps. He looked good early in that race at the Wasota 100, and I think, and I don't know this for sure, but I think he might have delaminated a tire also. And so he had some problems, ended up DNFing, but Brandon Dolman looked pretty darn good. So I want to give a hat tip right there to him. As far as the dud, I'm just going to go to Hoosier Tire on that, right? I mean, we talked about Ebert already with the late models. We don't need to pile on there, but I mean, a lot of drivers in the mods, Blazer, Belfi, I believe Dolman, a lot of drivers DNFing, ending what could have been a good night because the frickin' tires couldn't hold together. So that would be my dud. Let's jump into super stocks, and I know Bert doesn't have them, but before we do, Changa, a shout out to our boys over Fast Lane Motorsports and Powder Coating up in Ashland, Wisconsin, home of the Galloper chassis. Proud sponsor of the best series in Wasota racing, the Northland Superstock Series. Custom powder coating, sandblasting, fabricating, you name it. Vendors at multiple different racetracks in the Northland. Chris and the gang do a great job up there in Ashland, Wisconsin. Of course, we are just little over a week out from the 50th annual Red Clay Classic. Looking forward to that event. But thanks a lot to the group over there, Fast Lane Motorsports and Powder Coating. Changa, super stocks.
So, my stud of the week, I'm going to give to a guy. He raced 11 times all year, right? 11 times. It's the ageless one, right? Ron Mader just goes to the legendary, wins a prelim night, wins the legendary 100, barely even races. And this guy comes there, shows up, and when everything's on the line in his biggest race of the year, he just gets her done, right? Incredible.
I believe, I don't know this for sure, but I think with that, I think he's back on top. I think he's the winningest super stock driver, pro stock they call it, but super stock driver at the Cedar Lake Speedway. So Ron Mader, former Wasota national champion.
Do you have any idea who he may have passed?
I feel like Radetsky maybe. I thought kind of slipped by him, and maybe he slipped back by Jesse, but I'm not positive on that.
Yeah, I was just trying to think of a name, like a Dale Gangle maybe won a whole bunch back in the day. Or
Right. Yeah, I think Ron was leading, and I think Radetsky passed him, and I think Ron went and got it back, I think is what happened.
Cool.
Yep.
My dud of the week, I'm gonna, I've used this guy a lot this year, but he's usually on my stud list. I'm gonna go with Trevor Nelson, right? He just had a forgettable 100 weekend, so he had if I could read my writing, it looks like a 23rd place DNF, 24th place DNF, then he got eighth, and then uh, let's see, he got eighth, and then 28th place DNF. He took that eighth place spot. Then he gets a 28th place DNF on championship Saturday. So just a very, very, he's someone that usually shows up 100 weekend, and he's a top three guy every year. He just seems to always be in the hunt. But yeah, pretty forgettable weekend for him. So,
it's always these two, but I'm gonna give a shout out to a guy, and I believe it was you. Somebody drafted DK9, Dylan Kromschroeder, and you're like, I don't know if I would have necessarily taken him. Like, well, guess what? He got top five finish. He
heck
got
yeah,
fourth place.
I was
Fourth place
tempted to
at the
put him as
Wasota
my
100.
stud.
Yeah, he put together a nice weekend over there. Top five over there: Sobraski, Dexton Cook, Alex Myers, Dylan Kromschroeder, Kurt Myers. Last lap altercation there. Myers was in second, and faded at the end. Kurt did. Shane Sobraski put on a clinic. I mean, it was unbelievable. In that feature, he literally just paced Kurt Myers the whole race, and you could see him literally just inching around. I'm going to move up here. I'm going to try this line down here. And then as soon as he kind of found that line, he drove by him off into the
Oh
sunset, and
my
it was
God,
all over.
it was
That
like you hit the turbo button
it was
or the nitrous.
his shit is, I mean, he is so ungodly smooth. Bert, that's win number 998 for Shane Sobraski, 2 away from the elusive 1,000 mark. But I also got to give him the dud, right? I got to, at the same time. So I'm going to give the stud to him and a cold stud to Kurt Myers, because Kurt Myers wins a night 3 prelim, takes
That's
over the
actually for
point lead.
yeah.
Takes over the point lead, right? So Kurt Myers is at 1672, Shane Sobraski at 1666. Myers throwing out 54, Sobraski throwing out 53s. Now, remember, you could race all 3 nights for points. Shane Sobraski gets locked in, and he got locked in on night number 1. He got second place. He gets locked in, and he accepted. And for the life of me, I'm like, the budget they got, the backing they got behind them, you're this close to winning a national championship. You're Shane Sobraski. I mean, I get it. You could break or something stupid could happen, but I honestly expected him and Myers both to race all 3 nights. Now, Myers ended up having to, because he had to, I think he won the final night prelim because first couple nights weren't quite as good. But I got to give the dud to Shane, because I'm like, why are you not racing all 3 nights in the supers? I get it. It's a lot of work. I get it. But you race this
100% why.
far, you're that close to winning another national championship. Just freaking do it, right? Because I'll be honest with you, it's nothing's guaranteed, but I would have given them pretty darn high odds to win either Thursday or Friday, or potentially both of those, and literally solidify the national championship going into the last handful of races of the year. Absolutely mind-boggling.
Not only that, if he's there, maybe he prevents Kurt Myers from winning. I mean,
yeah, yep, 1,000%. All right, sport mods, Midwest mods, Bert.
For stud of the week, I'm gonna go with Max Oreskovic. Last weekend at Seymour, he won the feature the first night and finished second the second night. So a very good weekend for him. Dud of the week. I don't know the details on this, but just looking at the results, Ryan Schmidt was the track champion at Outagamie Speedway this year. The first night last week, he did not start the feature. He got credited for last with a DNS, and he was a no-show Saturday. So I'm not exactly sure what happened, but I'm sure that wasn't the weekend the track champion was expecting.
Yeah, that's painful. I've been there. You kind of feel like you're the guy to beat, and all of a sudden the special at your home track don't go well. So, yeah, Bert, kick him while he's down. That's what you do. That's what we do here. Changa, Midwest mods.
So our boys on our text stream are gonna love this one. My stud of the week, I'm going with James Trantina.
I
Right?
had him too. Yep.
I mean, that win on Thursday was absolutely freaking impressive. Last lap pass for the win, just drives by Nick Kaler. Shout out to him. I mean, he was fantastic all weekend, but this guy blows by him, keeps Joey Jensen behind him, and it was
Drove by
incredible.
Joey. He passed Joey.
Right.
Yep.
And then, in the main show, he had the lead for a large chunk of the big show. And then I think as the track started to lose a little grip, he just didn't have enough to hold on. And then Nick Haler returned the favor to take one from him. But yeah, incredible weekend. I mean, we've had him on the dud list before, and it ain't been a good year. But boy, oh boy, was he really strong this last week. So,
He was.
James Trantina, the start of the week in the mid mod. My dud, I'm going to go with Tyler Vernon, right? Not that he was slow, not that he was awful. He got a fourth, a seventh, and a sixth, right? And then, any one of them nights he could have locked himself into the show. Surely the last night you can lock yourself into the show with a sixth. Then he just goes home on Saturday, doesn't even race the feature. I mean, I get it. It's not a point show. You're starting, 18th or whatever you're doing. But my God, racers, don't you want to race anymore? I mean, I just don't get it.
JR wanted him to get a donkey award because JR's like, if he would have just stayed and finished like, I don't know, 15th, whatever in the feature, he wins the draft. And nope, he went home. And essentially, when I texted him, I said, hey, JR's leading the points in this deal and he's got you. He's like, fuck that, I'm going home then. Whatever.
Right. Well,
I don't want him to win.
So I texted him too. I says, hey, just freaking go home. Save your equipment for Thunder Bay next week.
And points are hard to come by right now because Joey Jensen did gain a single solitary point on the weekend. Had a pretty solid weekend, but right now with just a handful of shows left, Joey Jensen 1701, Tyler Vernon 1699, both of them chucking 55s. Pretty tight battle right there. So my stud, I got Nick Kaler on there. 9 wins on the year, wins the Wasota 100. I mean, first time winning the Wasota 100. Usually I figured he's a guy that you'd probably see at Cedar. Mm-hmm. That's where Jason Vandy, Mr. B-Mod at Cedar Lake Speedway, Jason Vandekamp, winning the prelim and the A-Mean at the legendary 100. But I'm going to give my dud of the week to Rapid Ron Schreiner. Okay. So, Bert, when you're running on the outside in the front part of the pack, 24 car feature, you're running up 6th, 7th place in the feature, and your shit breaks and you're on the outside, what is something that you probably should not do?
Pull down low.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't come out of turn 4 and take a left to try to pull in the infield across freaking traffic, right? Well, he did. He knows better. Guy's been racing since the early 80s, right? Maybe longer than that. Won a lot of races in his career. Well, as he did that, he went down. He snap hooked my former pit guy, Eric Anderson, for the most spectacular crash rollover of the weekend. Sounds like it was 9 times he went over. Literally shit everywhere from one end of, it literally looked like a bomb went off. He said he talked to Jeff Taylor, probably going to get the car fixed. It doesn't look, the back tail's ripped right off it, but probably fixable. But he tore up a lot of shit. He was okay, few bumps, few bruises, but what a rookie move. When you're on the outside and you literally I get it. You're like, holy shit, if I just stop here against the wall. Remember, when that happened, I drove right through. My good remote didn't even see him there. So, you're kind of...
You just got to keep it rolling and hold your line, right?
What a bad deal. That's a rookie move there by Schreiner. And then not to apologize. He basically, well, you ran into me. Fucking lucky you didn't get punched. It's like, what are you talking about? Like, you just destroyed my shit because you're a moron. Like, what are you talking about? And when you wreck somebody's shit, own it and be like, look, I messed up. He didn't even apologize, and that's where you get a donkey award for being an asshole. Just is what it is. All right. Street stocks or stock cars, Bert.
All right, I got 2. I have 1 street stock and 1 stock car. First, I'll go with the stock car. Cole Zerneski. He won the feature at Outagamie Speedway Friday night, and almost everybody in our pick'ems picked him to win Friday and Saturday. But he left Outagamie because he went to race at Deer Creek in the USRA race, and he finished sixth in that feature. He went from 18th to sixth at Deer Creek, so very good run for him there. And then my street stock driver, Kyle Jeanette, made another trip to Eastern Wisconsin, finished second and won the feature. The second finished second on Friday night, and then he won the feature Saturday night at Outagamie. And the feature that he won, he went from 10th to first. So very good run for him. And dud of the week, I'm going to go with Eric Malik. He's one of the top drivers in the IMCA stock car division in Eastern Wisconsin, but he has 0 feature wins this year. Since the 1st of August, starting in the beginning of August, he has a 4th, a 21st, a 14th, a 8th, and a 12th. So not the best of runs for him.
Yeah, I'm going to go with he's not one of the top stock car drivers in
Well,
Eastern
he is
Wisconsin.
one of the top drivers. Not the last month he hasn't been.
Donnie Schott's one of the top sprint car drivers in World of Outlaws. He was. All
But
right.
one tidbit about Eric Malik, though, he was a walk-on the Wisconsin Badgers football team back in the 90s, and he actually played in the Rose Bowl with the Badgers.
Oh, nice. No kidding. That's nice. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Nice little tidbit there. All right, Changa.
Well, my stud of the week, I'm going to go Jimmy Gullickson. Some people kind of rolled their eyes at me when I took him as my first round pick in the draft, but you know, he did what you would hope that your first round pick would do. He got me 2 wins, right? Can't complain about that. He won his prelim night from 8th. You know, drove by Parker Anderson and Cole Gresseth and Tourville and then held off Parker Anderson late because he was kind of coming there. And then the last night, I mean, you know, he held, you know, Dykhoff was there and he was there. You know, he was close at the end, but you know, I mean, Dykhoff's won damn near everything there this year when it counted, and he did a beautiful job holding him off. I know the track wasn't the greatest for that one, but Brother Changa's first round pick did what I was hoping he would do.
He did. He definitely did. 14 to 24 on the year. That's a hell of a year. He has 2 legendary 100 wins. First ever Wasota 100 win. How about duds?
My dud, I'm going to go with Keith Tourville, right? He had, so he raced 3 times this week. He started 17th, got 14th in the one race. Then he got a 4th place, locked himself in. And then he got a 26th place DNF in the Saturday in the big show. But just, you know, he looked human, you know. He kind of dominated everything all year, took a month off, had a vacation, come back, won a couple in a row, and then he went there and just, yeah, you know, he looked beatable for once.
Yeah, I'm telling you what, there's a lot of good cars at the Wasota 100 playing across the board, all the classes, right? But when you look across the field of street stocks, it's like, holy shit, is this stacked? I mean, that was a good field of race cars right there. So yeah, Jimmy Gullickson without question, but I think that he's easily the guy. I got to put Kyle Dykhoff in there too. You know, solid second place finish, but I give him a head scratcher award, right? He ain't racing for points. So he goes out there, Kyle Dykhoff, on night number 1, he gets second. So Bert, that's going to put him inside of row number 2 for Saturday's A main, right? Now keep in mind, he ain't running for points. He got no reason to run the rest of the week. He did anyway. He did go out, and it worked out. He went out, won one of them prelims, put himself on the front row, right? Or did he get second I think he won. I think he started middle of the front row, I believe is where he started. So he won the final night.
He had to run 4 nights.
But I don't understand what prompted him to. I mean, maybe he was just bored, or maybe he was looking at it as, I can get a couple of shows in here and maybe get myself into the top 10, and because he hasn't run enough shows to be contending for anything in the national points. I mean, outside chance he could sneak up into the top 5, but I don't know if there's enough races left for him. That was kind of a head scratcher. Hunter Van Gilder, though, 3 straight wins. He won night 2 at Rice Lake. He won the prelim night at the legendary 100. He went on to win night. He won the finale as well. So Hunter Van Gilder, of course, his grandpa, one of the best ever, Butch Madsen, right? So Dustin Dowdy, interesting deal. He ran a USRA hobby stock against them. So they essentially have a very similar motor package, but he had to run a Holly 500. And I think they were on, I think there's 4 barrels, the different motor combinations, some different rules. But the cool thing about the legendary is they were able to make it work. But let's face it is what it is. The field of cars in the street stocks at I-94 compared to the Wasota 100 is apples to oranges. It was not the same thing. How about a shout out to this guy, Changa? Did you happen to see who got second at the legendary 100?
Yeah, I don't remember.
Rich Bishop.
Yes. Oh
Bert,
my
you
God.
probably heard that name before. He's got 2 races this year. He won the prelim, night number 1. He got second in the. If you're gonna run 2 races, that's not a bad way to do it, right there. So tip of the hat to him. But I got to give the dud. I'm just gonna give it to. It is what it is. It's kind of the same. They ran the same format and the same order all week long, but a little bit of a dud. You know, if I had to nitpick with making the streeters run first on a freshly farmed track, and it was heavy, half the field overheated. I think the street stocks, I think if the track would have been a lot drier, that could have been the race of the night. But it just was probably one of the worst street stock races that I've seen. You know, and they put on some good ones, and I think it was just because they ran on such a heavy track.
I thought it was the best race I seen.
Yeah, because your guy won. Yep, I get it. I understand. All right. Another head scratcher before we move on. Garrett Alberson. So he was at Bulls Gap, Bert, for the Scott Bloomquist Memorial, Tennessee, not too far from where the World of Outlaw races were. So I looked at that. I'm like, well, he sure the hell ain't going to go to Davenport. Lo and behold, Thursday night, he gets done racing, drives all the way to Davenport instead of racing with the World of Outlaws down there.
Yeah, I wish I didn't do my research.
Yeah, that was interesting. I found that interesting. And then I do got to give a quick shout out to Johnny Broking in the modified. He ran his dad's car, and the reason I'm going to give it to him is he rolled the dice all weekend long, and he got 5th on day 1, and he's like, nah, I'm not really interested in that starting that far back, right? So he got 7th on day 2. Nope, not going to take that. He got 4th on day 3, so he improved his starting spot, and one of the few drivers that kind of rolled the dice to get a better starting position. And donkey award to my boy Tristan LaBarge. He got 13th on night number 1, Bert. Top 8 lock in. That means 5 drivers opted out. And he took the spot, which started him 22nd in the feature. I told him, I said, just load up, go home. There's no reason to stick around for that. Might as well go home at that point. Grassroots, boys. Bert?
You don't have any this time? So, yeah, so I went with Cade Nelson for my grassroots. I don't know if we call them late models or grassroots, but we've done both over the course of the year. He's won 6 of his last 7 features, right? Including the prelim and the feature night at the 100. He's now taken the national point lead in USRA late models. I believe he's got like a 422 point lead now that his shows are in. 17 wins, it's over 3 times what anybody else has. So he's going to be my stud of the week. You want to elaborate on any of them other numbers, or should I move on to the duds?
No, you can move on.
Okay, my dud, I mean, let's be honest, there wasn't a whole lot of grassroots to be spoken for, so I had to pick at straws. I went with Eric Crosby. So he went to Cedar Lake, Wasota guy, but he goes to Cedar Lake so he can race, good on him for doing something. Started on the pole in the prelim feature, got 12th. DNF, of course, but there was only 12 cars. He got 12th out of 12, right? Started 5th in the big show, wheeled it all the way up to 7th.
Yeah, he got put to the back in that too, I think. I'm not sure what happened. So he had a rough go of it.
We're picking straws here, so I'll do Eric Crosby.
I don't have a dud. I got a stud though. I'm gonna give Dylan Helget. He won the legendary 100 in the pure stock class, but just a couple things. So Dylan Helget, I think he's pretty fresh to racing. He's South Range guy, lives right by Superior there. but he got 5th at the Wasota Classic, a 4th and a 5th at the Dairyland Dash at Rice Lake. He got 8th at the MPH race at Granite, and then he won the prelim, won the A main at the Legendary 100. Nice little postseason there for Dylan Helget.
Oh yeah.
All right. How about a shout out here to East Central Sports, right here in Rush City, Minnesota, just north of the Twin Cities off I-35. They are your #1 source for pit bikes, kids, ATVs, golf carts, Toro lawnmowers, and a whole lot more. A lot of really cool stuff over there. Mac does a lot for dirt track racing, a lot for a lot of racers as well. So that's East Central Sports. Mention that you heard about them on the One to Go show for a $100 gift card, or discount, I should say. 320-358-1994, or check them out online at eastcentralsports.com. So we're going to jump into a little Wasota National Championship trivia. Last week, Bert gave the clues, and John Seitz was the driver. I got that right. I'm winning right now 8. Chonga's got 4. Bert has 1. Drivers we've used so far: David Karst, Mitch Johnson, Adam Hensel, Troy Kuyoth, Tyler Peterson, Tim McMahon, Chuck Swenson, Brittany Smith, Travis Sauer, Dandy Don Ishins, Lance Matthews, Paul Harlstead, and John Seitz. So we give this week it's Chonga giving the clues this week, and Bert and I get to guess on who the driver is. Wasota past national champion. If we have 3 incorrect guesses, the other person automatically wins. All right, Chonga, go ahead. Start giving us your clues. What do you got?
All right. First clue. This driver started racing in 1999.
Younger guy. Okay.
His first 2 years of racing, he started out in a super stock class. Since then, he has raced modifieds and late models. He is a 3-time national champion. He has won at least one Wasota 100.
Started in a super, though, huh? You're positive on that he started in a super. Are you guessing that, or are you positive?
That's the info that I got online.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you can't trust the internet sometimes, but that's the info I'm getting. The next one's probably going to be a giveaway, so.
Wait, what other classes did you say? You ran a late model and
a mod.
And a mod. Okay.
Okay. He has one track. Oh, you want me to wait? Okay.
Go on.
You want me to go on?
Yeah.
I'm gonna take a guess. Teskey.
That's a good guess. I don't think he raced a mod, and I know he didn't win a 100.
Okay.
He has been a track champion at Dakota State Fair Speedway, Casino Speedway, and Brown County Speedway.
It's not Ross Dixon. Shit. I'm down 1-2, Bert. All right. So
all right. We good?
Yeah.
I'm running out of clues here, so hurry up and get this, right? He has got a nickname. He's nicknamed the Hot Shoe.
Oh, Chad Becker? I didn't know he ran a super. Huh. Wow. I knew he raced a mod. I raced against him in a mod. He passed me to win a heat at the 100 at Huron. No shit. Chad Becker ran a super stock. My next guess, if you wouldn't have said Hot Shoe, my next guess was going to be Cole Searing, but I remember him running he won a Midwest mod, and I think he started there, not in a super. So, all right. Well, that was a pure guess. I learned something new. Any other clues?
I had one more clue. I had one more thing down because I figured you'd have got it at Hot Shoe, right? Then I just put number 12.
Number 12. Okay. Chad Becker. I did not know that Chad Becker ran a super stock. Interesting. All right. Well, we'll jump in. So our pick'ems standings right now, boys. I'm leading the way. So last week, Rain Man come from behind win to win the draft. Changa, you whooped the shit out of us last week in the actual pick'ems points, the overall points last week. And you're in second right now. So Changa, you are 18 points back of the 71A. Bert Rainman jumped ahead of you to third. He's 1 point ahead of you. Bert's in fourth.
What
And
are
then,
the points?
so I'm at 623. Changa's at 605. Rainman at 592. Bert at 591. Governor at 576 in the top five. That's Josh.
Oh, I must have had a good week in the pick'ems then. Yeah,
You
you
had
must.
a really good week, Changa. You were plus 47 last week.
Oh my goodness.
I was plus 40. That's counting the draft.
Yeah.
I was plus 40. Then it's Dano, 2 points back from Governor, Uper, Coach Kraus, Tardy, Worker Bee, Man Bun Dan, Beefcake, and Bromance rounding out the field. This week, the shows that we're going to pick: World of Outlaw Sprint Cars, Friday, Saturday, Thunderbolt Raceway in Tulare, California. High limit spreads. They raced tonight at Lawrenceburg. I was plus 3, boys, by the way. Not sure who you guys picked. I had Reitzel and Rico. Who'd you guys have tonight?
I had Rico
I
and
had
Sweet.
Rico, but that's the only one that I
All
had.
right, so I gained one on you guys. Awesome. And they're also racing at Eldora Friday and Saturday. USAC Midgets Thursday and Saturday at Eldora. Lucas Oil Dirt Late Models Thursday, Friday, Saturday. The Late Model Nationals at Knoxville. Dirt Kings finale at Plymouth, Wisconsin. Mars Late Models, Brownstown Bullring and Peoria, Friday, Saturday. The Punky Manor Challenge of Champions, Late Models Mods, Supers, and Midwest Mods, 2 complete shows for the first time ever, Friday and Saturday night in Menominee, Wisconsin. The 54th annual Jamestown Stock Car Stampede, and then the Thunder Bay Trucks. I think it's Thunder Bay Truck Center Dirt Track Nationals up at the Thunder City Speedway Friday and Saturday. Which Bert Tonga, I am going to be in attendance. My dad and I got our hotel rooms booked. We're leaving Friday morning. Going to make our first trip to the Thunder City Speedway. Pretty jacked up, and actually we're going to be doing a trackside show. I got longtime racer guy that came down to Hibbing, Danny Young, is going to be joining me up there.
Nice.
Bert?
A couple of things. I'm supposed to remind everybody to smash that like button. So Puka told me to remind everybody to smash the like button however you watch the show. And
Like,
then
share, comment, right?
Yep, all of that stuff. And then Dirt Kings. Mullen has a 12-point lead. This is the final race of the season. Mullen has a 12-point lead over Brett Swedberg and Joel Bennett, and a 14-point lead over Mitch McGrath. So somewhat close, but still a little bit of a cushion Mullen has. But you never know what.
One wrong move in lap traffic, and that could cost him.
Yeah.
Right.
Is Nick going to be there this week?
I do not know if he's going to be there or not.
Well, it depends. Yeah, I guess I'm not sure what happened, what he broke, but he had posted that he was going to run Mars stuff, and then he was planning on being at Plymouth. Now, I don't know what happened to the car, but his initial plans were to be there. So let's jump into our final segment of the show, bold predictions. We make 3 predictions every week, racing related, and we keep track of what we got wrong, what we got right. So, Bert, you had 3 come off the board this past week. You said there'd be no podiums for Bobby Pierce. Yeah, that was wrong. Never. You shouldn't. It's pretty hard to bet
Hey,
against
I was
BP
close.
32.
You're close. I was close, though.
You were very, very close. You were. You said that AJ Demo would have top 5 finishes in the mod and in the late model at the Legendary. Of course, he won the mod DNF in the late model. And then you said in the 3 classes we picked, late models, mods, stock cars, at Outagamie Speedway for their doubleheader this weekend, there'd be no repeat winners. You got that one correct. No repeat winners. And according to my stats, or from Uper stats anyway, Changa had 4 come off the board here. 4 of them come off the board because one essentially could have came off last week, but we counted it this week. So the first one a couple weeks back, you said the Iron Man Shane Sabraski would be going into the Wasota 100 with 1,000 or more wins. He was at 997 going in. He's at 998 now. You also said that there'd be no repeat winners in the Mars. There'd be 3 different winners. Jason Fager doubled up on that one. But you got 2 correct. You said the big cat Brad Sweet would podium at all the nights of the high limit sprint car action this past weekend, and he did do that. And then you said one non-Lucas driver would finish on the podium at the Scott Bloomquist Memorial at the Volunteer Speedway in Bulls Gap, Tennessee. And I dogged you on that. I'm like, oh yeah, that's really tough. It's gonna be Dale McDowell.
It was non-Lucas or Wu.
Non-Lucas or Wu. You are correct. Do you know who the driver was that finished on the podium?
Well, it wasn't Dale McDowell.
It was not Dale McDowell. Cameron Marlar.
Yeah,
Cameron Marlar had a good run down there.
That's right.
So Uper had 3 come off the board. He said that Kennedy Swan would finish in the top 10 at the Legendary. She did not. He said there would be 2 or less of these drivers would win the Wasota 100. At the time, my Race Pass stats had TPO. He had TPO was leading points, Blake Adams leading points, so on and so forth. So the point leaders going in. He said 2 or less of them would win the Wasota 100. That was correct because Sobraski won. Kurt Myers was actually listed at the point leader at the time on there. So essentially none of them won that were listed. It's to be leading the points. I mean, yeah, I get it. You're one of the favorites to win, but the 100 is a tough race to win. I mean, just because you're the national point leader, that does not make you the favorite. So you get that one correct. He also made a very bold prediction in saying that he's going to finish top 5 in the draft. And he tied for 4th. Holy shit. Good job, Uper. I had 3 come off the board as well. I said the combination of these 3 drivers, Cole Searing, Eric Riley, Caden Blazer, that were all on the 71A team, they'd all have top 5 finishes at the Wasota 100. That did not happen. Searing did. He got 2nd. I said Kevin Eater. No, knee-jerk reaction. I did this after he ran good on the first night. And after he won the first Challenge Series show there, unrelated to the 100. I'm like, shit, he's gonna finish top 5 at the 100. Bert, he run the 2 Challenge Series races, went home. What the fuck? He's like, well, I got to go home, make money. I'm like, win the Wasota 100. It's 10 grand. It's a pretty good week of work right there. Well, he wanted to go home, make other kind of money, so that did not happen. And then I said there'd be at least 6 different podium finishers in the 3 USMTS shows, and that was correct. There was, I think there was 7. So our standings right now, we keep track of correct ones and percentages. Chonga's leading the way in both, 24 correct. Myself and Uper tied at 20. Bert's at 15. Chonga, you're at 41.4% correct. I'm at 40%. Uper's at 34.5, and the guy we pick on about bunting all the time, Birch, at 31.3. I think we know who the new bunt specialist is.
Uper, definitely.
Yeah, it was definitely not it. That is definitely not it. So 3 laps are on the track to close this deal out, boys. Bert, Chonga, I got Uper's, I got mine. Bert, give us your first one.
I'm gonna go Lucas Oil late models at Knoxville, and for the final feature of the week, it'll be all non-Lucas racers on the podium.
Wow. All right, that's bold as hell.
Wow. All right, fair enough. That is bold. That is bold. Okay.
Wow.
No tap-ins here. No tap-ins here.
Shit.
All right, Chonga.
Wow. So, everywhere weather looks like shit this weekend.
Friday looks good at Thunder Bay.
That's about it. I guess I'll go to Knoxville as well. And I'm gonna say however many nights they get in, 1/3 of the podiums will be non-Lucas guys.
Okay. So out of all the nights,
combined,
1/3 will be non-Lucas. Okay, that is nowhere near. Bert.
No. I mean,
Tap in.
what?
Tap in.
Okay.
Basically,
Bert
he's saying
did
Bobby
is just.
Pierce is going to finish in the top 3 every night.
Well, yeah, he would have to
Hold
do it
on, let
3
me
times.
ask you this: at least 1/3 non-woo, or
Oh yeah, at
no,
least, at
or
least.
at
Right,
least.
yeah. Okay, at least, yeah, right.
Okay, I was gonna say exactly 1/3, at
Yeah,
least
no, exactly
1/3, at
1/3 would
most
be
1/3.
exactly 1/3 would be even less bold than what Bert just did, though.
That was
Basically, he's saying Bobby Pierce is going to finish it on the podium every night.
Well,
That's
one
1/3.
one woo guy, all 3
Well, I know,
nights.
but
I mean,
but your boy.
conventional wisdom would say if one woo guy was going to do it, it'd be Pierce. But yeah,
well. T-Mac's pretty good there too. Hoffman can be good there.
Dustin could probably be good there. He's an Iowa guy, right?
Yeah.
Sure,
Yep.
surely if he goes.
Yeah.
Shirley's won it before.
Yeah, if he goes. Yep. All right, Uper's first prediction. We're gonna go Thunder City Speedway this weekend. Team USA will have a majority, so over 50% of the podiums between mods, supers, Midwest mods, and street stocks in those classes. At least one night has to get the full show in for this to happen, right? So if one show gets in, obviously it says majority of podiums, he'd have to have 3, because not even. So majority would have to be 3
like
or 4. Okay. And if it's 2 nights getting in, 5 of the drive 5 of them would have to be team. Well, I guess majority of podiums, so that's not winners, but majority of podiums, Team USA. So that's over 50%, just to clarify. All right. This week, I'm going to take a look here. And I am going to go to the Jamestown Stock Car Stampede, 54th annual. Always enjoyed going out to that show. Family from Montana would come over, we have a good time there. Cole Gresseth and Mike Gresseth will both finish on the podium in the A main on Saturday. Cole Gresseth and Mike Gresseth, both of them on the podium in their A mains. Late model street stock accordingly. All right, Bert, your second one.
I'm gonna go World of Outlaw Sprint Cars, and I'm gonna say the 2 races. The top 2 will be David Gravel and Kofoid, but it can be. It doesn't matter which order, but those 2 drivers will be 1, 2.
1, 2, both races.
Both races, yes.
Both at where are they at?
Thunderbolt Raceway.
Yeah, Tulare, California. Gravel, Kofoid, both top 2, both nights. Okay. And if they only get one night in, Bert, is it a wash? Do they both nights have to happen for this to count? Or if one of them gets in, that's good.
I think it should count even if it's just one night.
Okay.
Because I'm predicting the top 2.
Yeah. I just wanted to clarify.
Okay.
All right, Changa.
Oh, let's see. I'm gonna say 0 wins for Jason Fager and Mars Action this week.
Wow.
Why the hate?
There is no hate. I like Fager, but
okay. All right, we're gonna go Upers. So 0 wins. Let me ask you this. I want you to. We're gonna make sure. I'm gonna clarify here. If they both rain out, does this not count?
One has to happen. Otherwise,
okay.
it would.
I was gonna say, because we're not gonna let yourself back into.
No, that wouldn't be fair. That wouldn't be
All
fair.
Right. Okay. So they got to get at least one of the races in for it to count. Okay. Uper's second prediction: Kennedy Swan will make the A main both nights at the Punky Manor, and will finish top 10 at least one of those nights.
It's gonna rain out both nights.
Good. It could. Hope not. God, they have bad luck with specials over there sometimes. All right. So knee-jerk reaction to Changa here. I got my 25 hat on right now. A little high side hustler, right? Jason Fager will win at least one of the Mars races and will finish on the podium in both of the races. He will
And then
win
if
at least.
don't happen,
He will win at least one, finish on the podium in both, and if only one happens, he'll be on the podium in that one race.
you're not confident enough to say he'll win that race.
Not.
All right, fair enough.
At least one win, both podiums, and
I
if
mean,
only one happens,
Fager
he
on
will
the
be on the
podium
podium.
is like saying frickin' Bobby Pierce will make the feature.
That's why it's not standalone. That's only if one happens. That's only if one happens. All right. Bert, your third and final.
All right, I'm going high limit sprint cars at Eldora, and I'm going to say Justin Peck will have 2 top 5 finishes, with one of them with at least one being a podium finish.
All right.
Justin Peck will have 2 top 5s, at least one on the podium. Okay. I like it. I like it. Changa, your third and final.
I'm gonna go. God, I was gonna go high limits as well, but I'm gonna go USAC midgets, and I'm gonna say no podiums for Dason Pursley.
In the high limit side of things, no
No.
podiums.
I'm going to the USAC midgets.
Oh,
He's running
midget.
the USAC.
Okay.
USAC midgets. He's running a USAC midget.
And sprint cars. Yeah, he's gonna have a busy weekend.
Yep. How about this? I'll even step it up. I'll say no podiums in the sprint car or the midget.
No podiums in the sprint car or the midget for Dason Pursley this weekend. That's freaking bold. All right. Good enough. We got her. All right. Uper's third and final prediction. The Iron Man, Shane Sabraski,
will win 1% of his races.
It's a parlay. This is a parlay. He's going to race both nights of the Piston Cup at the Granite City Motor Park.
Yeah.
At least 3 podiums out of the 4 races, because there's no late models there. It's mods and supers. At least 3 podiums.
And 2 wins.
And he will have at least 2 wins to hit the 1,000 mark after Granite City. And if both shows have to happen for this to count.
Okay.
And actually, he has here the no-show deal. So this is going to happen at Granite City. If he no-shows, or if at least one rains out, it doesn't count. He has.
Okay.
If he races Granite City at the Piston Cup, he'll have at least 3 podiums and at least 2 wins for 7A.
Yeah, I like it. He covered the bases with that. It's a good pick.
He did. Dexton Cook, get her done there, buddy. Get her done. All right. So I'm going to go to the Punky Manor Challenge of Champions this weekend at the Red Cedar Speedway in Menominee. I'm going to do a little parlay action. So both nights have to happen for this to count, because it's a parlay. Okay. So Jesse Glenn's Ashley Anderson in the late models, one of those 2 drivers will get at least 1 win on the weekend. In the modifieds, Caden Blazer, Jake Hartung, at least 1 win between the 2. In the super stocks, Kurt Myers, Terrence Spacek, at least 1 win between the 2. So a parlay that those 6 drivers will account for at least 1 win in each of their respective classes.
I like it.
All right, boys. Well, she was a long show, but there's a lot of racing, and things are winding down in the racing season. And I know Bert's getting a little sleepy here. He's a little older than us, but guys, I still got about 4 or 5 more hours yet to drive. She could be a late one here for the 71A, but
Bert
I'll be
is
done
the
early.
most eligible bachelor on the show.
Bert is the most eligible bachelor in Chonga. Get the banner out, right? Because I want to bring that up to the.
I'm actually in my kitchen tonight because I wanted to be in the house in case the wife started hollering and needing something, because she's laid up, can't walk, and all that.
She's probably been hollering, and you've been kind of drowning that out. Like,
I think she finally fell asleep. She'd been up for like 24 hours. So.
All right. Well, hey, good luck to all the racers this weekend. I know there's some national championship battles that are really up in the air. Good luck to the drivers battling for the championships right now. Hopefully Mother Nature cooperates. Get out to these specials. It costs a lot of money to put on. Support these shows, and we'll see you all next week. Thanks for tuning in to the One to Go Show.